Live pictures there from some of the polling stations in all Kalou constituency. That's where our focus is throughout today as constituents of this area go out to vote in the by-election, much anticipated by-elections. And we'll be bringing you all the details. We have reporters stationed across all Kalou constituency ready to update us on any happening. Polling stations are set to open in a few minutes at 6 a.m. It is about 23 minutes to that time. And trust us, we will be here every minute of the day. Karibu sana, this is TV47 Breakfast. My name is Fred Indimuli.
And my name is Annie Odida. So good to have you with us this morning. We've started this so early so that we can give you all the details, everything to the T that you need to know as regards all Kalou parliamentary by-election. We've waited for this for a very long time. It's a high-stakes litmus test for, they say, maybe regional and national political dominance ahead of the 2027 general election. So that is what we're keeping an eye on throughout the day today. It is an event. It is an activity that will end at 5 p.m. It is beginning at 6 a.m. And of course, legally, if you will be there, the polling station, past 5 p.m., then you'll be allowed to vote.
Yes, indeed. And you can see quite a number of voters already at the polling stations, ready to queue and cast their ballots. And the whole country is involved in this, and we are probably a bit too committed in all Kalou. Some of our viewers don't even know where all Kalou is.
Yes.
But they're so committed, they're so invested in this by-election. But we'll be giving you details about a lot more. This is an electorate that numbers about 73,000 voters, 142 polling stations. 44. This is where most of the action will be taking place. And we have quite a number of reporters there. And Sydney Chazimba is one of them. And he'll be the first giving us an update of what's happening in all Kalou. And if he's ready, good morning, Sydney. What's happening in all Kalou? We can see quite a number of people dressed heavily. How's the weather there, and how are the preparations for the ballot going on this morning?
Good morning to you right here from all Kalou. We are at St. Peter's ACK Huruma Comprehensive School, where we are seeing a host of voters just lining up here in anticipation for this big day. It is cold. It is very cold. It's freezing, but the political temperatures and anticipation from the voters is just bringing about the heat necessary for this special day. And remember, this is the day that the Lord has made, that everyone can rejoice in it. But it is also the day that the IEBC made, and whoever shall emerge victorious by close of the poll in 5 p.m. Shall rejoice in it as well. We've been here since 5 a.m. and we were able to get some sentiments from the voters gathering here, some with whistles, some with vuvuzelas, just in anticipation for this day. And what we've been able to observe is that they're saying that no vehicle is going to be given access to this particular polling station. The reasons, they can explain themselves. Perhaps you can just speak to us kidogo tu tueleze kwa nini mnasema kwamba magari yasiingie katika eneo hili. Sijui nani anaweza zungumza na sisi? Wazungumza nasi?
Hello.
Ujambo?
Niko mzuri kabisa.
Tumefika hapa asubuhi, tunaona kwamba mmelinda eneo hili, mnasema kwamba hakuna gari ambalo linaingia. Je, hii ni sababu gani mnasema hivyo?
Tunahofia ya kwamba unajua hizi gari zenye zinaweza kuja zinaweza kuwa zimebeba vitu za voting. So ndio watu wamesema ya kwamba gari hazitakuwa zinaingia huko. Na hata watu walikuwa wamesema bado hakuna kuingia na vitu kama bags juu ya kuhofia maneno ya security ya kula.
Kufikia sasa, kabla ufike hapa, umeona kuna mambo yoyote ambayo yanaenda ambayo si ya kawaida?
Bado hatujaona mambo yote, isipokuwa hizo gari zilikuwa zimekuja lakini tukazirudisha. Hakuna stories zingine bado zinakuwa.
Jana kulikuwa na tetesi tu na pengine taharuki kwamba polisi ni wengi kuliko binadamu huku. Je, ile linaweza wazuia wengi kutoka kupiga kura?
Hapana, bado watu wamesema ya kwamba lazima watokee, hata kama kuna polisi. By the way, polisi wamekuwa wengi, lakini watu wameamua lazima watokee, wahakikishe wametekeleza wajibu wao wa kupiga kura na kuchagua ule wanataka.
Tunaona kwamba watu wamejitokeza hapa wengi, lakini unaona kwamba wanakuwa na msisimko fulani na kuchemka fulani. Je, ni nini kinawasukuma kuwa hivi?
Ni ile hali ya kubadilisha maneno na ile hamu ya kutaka kupiga kura ili wachague ule mtu ambaye wanataka. Sababu unajua watu wameamua kuna kusidikishwa, ni watu kunalingana vile mtu ile maamuzi yao ndio wanataka itimie.
Shukran. Safi. Sentiments from one of the registered voters here, just awaiting in line when the polls open at 6 a.m., I beg your pardon, just in readiness to get their vote. And what I cannot tell you that I'm observing as well is that the demography of people who are here, you can see the elderly, you can see the elderly women, you can see the elderly men, and interestingly as well, some Gen Zs are among the people here just getting ready for this auspicious day in Old Kalou. So from here, this is this particular station where we are told that probably Samuel Mushina of UDA will be casting his ballot later on around 7 a.m. and we shall be here just to document that particular exercise and also head to the other polling stations where the DCP candidate Sami Ngotho will be casting his ballot, and alongside other contestants in this hotly contested race for MP in Old Kalou. So taking you back to studio, we can see that the gate is almost getting open and the people in anticipation to get in and start exercising their right to vote. So back to you in studio, we shall be giving you an update in a few.
All right, Sydney Chazimba, our reporter there, coming to us live from the comprehensive St. Peter's ACK Huruma Comprehensive Primary School, one of the polling stations, and where they are anticipating that one of the candidates, the UDA candidate for Old Kalou constituency, will be voting there at Huruma Primary School in Kiambaga ward. And so we'll be getting more details. We do have other reporters stationed at different polling stations there, and we'll be bringing you up to speed once the polling starts. It's about 15 minutes to the official opening of the polling stations and the beginning of the voting process. And once again, there are 9 candidates taking part in this by-election. The Samuel Mushina Nyaga of UDA, Sami Douglas Kamau Ngotho of DCP, Wilson Kegwa of Jubilee Party, Rachel Wangui Njoroge of the People's Democratic Party, Edward Mathenge, who's an independent candidate, Stephen Wanyoike wa Ithaka, National Liberal Party, Edwin Kariri Moshiri, PNU. And there are 2 other candidates representing other parties, and we'll be bringing you their names and details as we continue with this before we even start the voting process. As Sydney was talking to one of the electorates there, there was the insistence on the fact that quite a number of police officers have been deployed. Yeah. By yesterday, the numbers have been set at about 1,000 plus. 1,000 plus police officers. Remember, the population of Old Kalou is slightly more than 200,000. Yeah. The voters are 73,000. Yeah. And then you have 1,000 police officers there just to maintain peace. Yes. Right. We do have another reporter there.
Okay. You know, Sydney, I said today, this is the day that the Lord has made, and we shall be glad and rejoice in it. And, you know, we'll be taking a look at the day list today. And I saw one of the caricatures that was insinuating that, you know, after this by-election today, then all these politicians will be rolling the red carpet, rolling the goodies that they brought to Old Kalou and going back with them. So will it really be... Well, the people of Old Kalou really rejoice after, you know, after today. We might know the member of parliament elect by midnight today or early morning tomorrow. So will it really be a good day to rejoice for the people of Old Kalou?
Yes, the thing is with by-elections, even out of the entire 73,000 voters, by-election attracts about 50% mostly. So we do expect about 40,000 people to come out and vote, or thereabout, depending on their excitement in the process. So yes, counting should not really take that much time. 40,000, about 144 polling stations where the counting will be taking place as well. Remember, once the counting is done, those are the official results for that polling station, and they cannot be changed anywhere else.
Yeah. So a lot of security checks have been put there as well. IEBC banned the use of unmarked vehicles yesterday within the constituency, and they warned that any vehicle operating without registration plates, those vehicles will be intercepted by security officers. They also, of course, confirmed the deployment of uniformed and plainclothes police officers to maintain law and order. So today, expect to see plainclothes police officers there. Ukiona usishtuke and say, you know, the way you usually say that, you know, there were plainclothes police officers in Kalou. Why? Why were they not in uniform? So IEBC said that we should expect to see that as well in all Kalou.
It is a level of vigilance that is interesting. You've seen even people who are preparing to vote, they're already at the polling stations, and they're saying they're there to ensure that no unmarked vehicles get into the station. People with the suspicious bags don't get into the station as well. And generally, everyone is on standby to ensure that this process goes on smoothly without any malpractice or any games, if I may call them that. Any mchezo, unajua ule mchezo wa town. Wamesema hakuna mchezo wa town. So people quite vigilant there, and you can imagine if the electorate is as vigilant, and then you add that contingent of about 1,000 police officers, then with about 40,000 voters showing up, there could be more or less. Then I don't anticipate, we do not anticipate any disruption. So we continue counting down 12 minutes now to the official opening of polling centers across all Kalou constituency, and we'll be getting another report from one of our reporters there, and we'll be introducing him to you in a short while. So
once the queues clear at 5 p.m., once again, votes will be manually counted at individual polling stations. That is 144 polling stations, and all Kalou has 5 wards. It's 5 wards, yes. And results will then be physically and digitally transmitted to the central tallying hub at All Kalou Secondary Hall. That will be at 5 p.m. Then, depending on the speed of verification and the provisional final constituency results are expected to be announced at midnight or before midnight or early morning tomorrow.
A lot of excitement there. You would not believe that it's 9 degrees currently in all Kalou. It's a very cloudy day, but people are out and early. You can see the way they're dressed. They're just ready to vote. All Kalou is generally, you know, it's in Nyandarua County. And Nyandarua is one of those few areas where you even get extra cold weather, extreme weather. Ile inakaa kama snow, almost. It's huko Nyahururu.
Snow?
Sio snow. Inakaa kama snow.
Okay.
So it is very close to sub-zero weather. It's 9 degrees currently, and the highest it will get is 21 degrees today. Imagine that. Highs of 21 degrees in all Kalou.
21 so degrees.
Highs.
Hapo bado ni baridi.
Hiyo ni baridi. Hiyo hata Nairobi sometimes, if you feel 21 degrees in Nairobi, that's cold. It is also very cold in Nairobi, and we'll be checking the weather later. But in Nyandarua, and especially all Kalou, the warmth has just been created by the excitement to vote. That's according to, if I may borrow the words of that gentleman who said, yes, tuko na joto huku, sababu ya kupiga kura, and the excitement around it. So far we've seen one of the polling stations. We do have an indication that one of the candidates will be at the Huruma Primary School to vote at around 7 a.m. That's the UDA candidate, Samuel Mushina, and we'll be getting also the DCP candidate, as well as the other 7 candidates who are on the ballot this morning.
So this looks like competition between the ruling government and the DCP party. I was listening to pundits. Some of them say that this could be, you know, some sort of panic from the government side when IEBC threatened to postpone the All Kalou by-election. Well, Yeah.
Well, at least they haven't postponed so far.
They haven't.
Unless they do so in the next 9 minutes. Chances
It's all
are,
systems go in all Kalou. There's no going back.
There's no going back at this point.
Yeah.
There's no going back. And yes, you mentioned the number of words that are in all Kalou.
Yeah.
And probably just to paint a picture, because people would probably understand the words, they do not know these other areas. Right, the words are Kanjuire Range, there's Rorie, there's Mirangine, there's Karao. Karao is simply all Kalou, but now you just say Karao. And then Kaibaga. So those are the 5 wards there. Other constituencies now that are neighboring all Kalou, so that you may understand, Kinangop is one of them. Kipipiri is another.
Yeah.
Oljororok is another one. Andaragwa. Those are the constituencies within Nyandarua County. And of course, their neighbor, another county, which is Nakuru. So all Kalou is one of those constituencies that border Nakuru directly.
Yeah.
So a lot of interest from politicians, even from Nakuru. We saw what happened with the Nakuru East Member of Parliament.
Yeah.
David Gekaria, who was actually sanctioned by the IEBC for what they termed as electoral malpractice. And we saw quite a number of other leaders coming from neighboring constituencies and counties that were there involved in the campaigns. Right. Let's now join another one of our reporters, Laban Muhinda, who's also coming to us live from all Kalou. Laban, good morning. What do you have for us from where you are this morning? And I hope you're keeping warm even as you come our way.
Okay. Very good morning to you. Ninakuomba nikubalie nibadilishe msimbo kidogo niende katika lugha ya Kiswahili. Nawakujia moja kwa moja kutoka katika shule ya All Kalou Comprehensive, ambapo asubuhi ya leo watu wamerauka mapema, wamejitokeza kwa wingi, na kama vile ambavyo tunaona kuwa saizi watu wamejaa katika lango kuu la kuingia katika shule hii. Shule hii ni kituo cha kupiga kura ambapo mgombea wa chama cha DCP anatarajiwa pia ataweza kupiga kura akiwa maeneo haya. Kwa sasa watu wanasubiri tu kufunguliwa kwa lango kuu la kuingia katika shule hii ama kituo hiki cha kupigia kura. Na kwa sasa watu wamesema kuwa hawezi ruhusu magari au kitu chochote kuingizwa kule ndani. Wamesema kuwa watazidi kusimama hapa na kuhakikisha kuwa hakuna gari ambalo litaruhusiwa kuingia katika kituo cha kupiga kura. Vile vile wamesema kuwa kama mtu ana mzigo wote au ana begi lolote hataweza kuruhusiwa kuingia katika kituo cha kupiga kura. Kwa sasa tunazidi tu kupiga kambi katika maeneo haya ili tuweze kuona tu ni mambo yepi yatakayokuwa yakijiri, na pindi ambapo lango kuu litakapoweza kufunguliwa, pia sisi kama wanahabari ndivyo tutaweza kuruhusiwa kuingia huko ndani.
Thank you so much, Laban Muhinda, our reporter there at a different polling station where we do expect that one of the candidates, the one from the DCP party, will be casting his ballot later this morning, and we'll be getting more details about the other 7 candidates as well, wherever they'll be casting their ballot, and we'll try our level best to be there to bring that detail to you as well. All right, so 5 minutes exactly to 6 a.m. When polling will begin, when polling stations will officially open, and the process of casting their ballots will start. This is our special coverage of the All Kalou by-elections, the much anticipated by-election. It is the only discussion on our dailies today, and we'll be getting to that.
That's right. Tuingie ndani?
Tuingie kwa magazeti.
Let's take a look at the local dailies, and we start off with the People Daily this morning. They say the vote that could shape Ruto and Gachagwa's 2027 race. That is the All Kalou by-election.
Long sentence there,
Yeah.
but I like the word could. They're not committing themselves.
Yeah,
Just
could.
the vote could shape Ruto Gachagua race.
Do you think it could?
I think it definitely will. Why are we hesitating? Yeah. Okay, that's the People Daily. Yeah, it will definitely shape one way or another. It may not determine, but it will shape the race. So what to watch your
You know, the question that I have is why only Kalou? Why not Mbeere? Why didn't Mbeere shape that? Why didn't
Mbeere did shape? It did.
For 2027?
It did, because UDA can claim, okay, fine, mulikuwa mnasema nyinyi mnameshikilia mlima, we got that one as well. Yeah?
But you know, the attention that we are giving Kalou, I don't think we give the same to Mbeere.
And then again in Mbeere, I think because it was a cluster of by-elections, it was the same day Malava was going to the polls, Kasipul, and so many other, so many people did not really just focus on one. This time round, Kalou is all alone. Not even another ward has by-elections. So all the focus is there, the whole country, all the papers today. And if we move on from People Daily, take a look at the Standard. Rigathi versus Ruto. Yes. So it is not even about the candidates. It's about the two main political protagonists.
Yeah.
They call it D-Day in Kalou. More than 1,000 police officers have descended on Kalou as voters head to the ballot after weeks of violence, alleged vote buying claims of state interference and accusations of bias against the IEBC. While the Electoral Commission insists the unprecedented security deployment is meant to safeguard the integrity of the vote, the opposition sees intimidation and selective enforcement of the law. The mini poll has become more than a contest for a parliamentary seat. It is a test for the country's democratic practices, of the IEBC's credibility, and how 2027 general election may shape up. So same thing.
Yeah.
Here they say may shape up. The People Daily say could shape.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know why we just insist on these two candidates. There are 9 candidates. So they just put the UDA candidates Samuel Mushina Nyaga and Sammy Douglas Kamau of DCP. Interestingly, they're all called Sammy. It's either Sam or Sam for UD and DCP, but there are other candidates as well.
Yeah. The Star, why Kalou vote is a litmus test for Ruto and Gachagua. That's the only story, understand it? Kalou?
Yeah, on the front page, it's the only story, yes.
All right. The Star, fresh, independent, different. Today, wanaendana na wengine. Why?
Different today.
They say why Kalou vote is a litmus test for Ruto and Gachagua, Mount Kenya kingpin. Poll to give indication of region's 2027 political mood. And that is the story on page 4 and 5. It is a face-off, they call it, a former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. IEBC officials. This is a photo as IEBC officials inspect election materials to be distributed to polling stations across Kalou constituency. Right is President William Ruto. Same photo, kama you at the Standard. They are facing each other side by side. Yeah,
I think with most of the front pages is Gachagua and Ruto, and then what happens in Kalou.
Yeah. So other quick headlines here. Historic surgery gives endangered rhino calf a second chance at life. Okay, Ogamba blames treasury delays and budget gaps for funding crisis in education. And on the top strip, court dismisses Rastafarians' bid to legalize bang.
Oh, a big one there, a big one. Watu wajafurahia?
Yeah. Hii ni kama imegusa wengi.
Imegusa wengi. All right, it's exactly a minute to 6. And you can see the gates of this particular polling station in Kalou has been opened. The gates have been opened, and voters are streaming in, ready to cast their ballots, ready to queue and cast their ballots in this much anticipated by-election. And they were there right on time. You can see even the elderly, women, young people, all of them there, ready to do their civic duty and elect their new member of parliament today, whose name and person we'll get to know probably by midnight tonight. People not taking chances there, ensuring that they are there, and now the gates have fully been opened at exactly 6 on the dot. Hakuna waste time. But the cold there, we told you 9 degrees, yeah? But then you can see the excitement, the faces, and smiles. Well, and still people, misbehaving. Once you are within the precincts of that polling station, you're not supposed to show any political signal. You're just supposed to come in, queue, vote, get out. You're not supposed to talk about your candidate. You're not supposed to campaign for anyone. You're not supposed to use any slogan.
Yeah.
So I can see some of them there.
You're not supposed to be dressed in any party colors.
Even party colors are not allowed around that area.
Yeah.
But it's quite cold. Yeah. These are the people from that area, but they're feeling that cold. I'm almost feeling the same here.
Yeah. And it's 14 degrees in Nairobi, by the way. So
if it's 14 degrees and you're feeling this cold, you can imagine 9 degrees.
Yeah. I think we should commend them for this, for waking up this early despite the cold. to go and cast the ballot. So that's quite good.
Yes. And I'm yet to see any IBC official, at least anyone dressed in IBC colors or badges. But I can see people directing the voters on where they should go.
Yeah.
So I don't know if these are the IBC officials or these are just vigilant members of the community there.
Maybe
Because
plainclothes
IBC
police officers.
Yeah?
Maybe they are plainclothes police officers. Remember, we're
Yes, probably they're just some of the
that.
1,000 police officers who are there.
Yeah.
You can see elderly women woke up really early this morning. I thought that was an IBC jacket. It's not, but yes. So far, as far as this polling station is concerned, most of the voters who turned up that early are already within the polling station. And this is St. Peter's, where we do expect one of the St. Peter's SEK Huruma Comprehensive Primary. It's a long name. St. Peter's SEK Huruma Comprehensive Primary. That polling station has already been opened. Voters have already streamed in, but there are some outside the polling station who are still keeping vigilance. They say that no unmarked vehicle will be allowed, and anyone carrying suspicious bags will not be allowed into the center as well.
Yeah.
So yes, there you have it, a better look, a better picture there. And you can see the presence of police officers now.
Yeah.
Uniformed police officers this time around. And
This is a different polling station? Or this is a different polling station? That was St. Peter's, and this is where Laban Muhinde is. The other one is where Sydney Chazima is at. Just to confirm where that is.
that one was at, okay, Huruma Primary School was where the Samuel Mushina will be voting. That's a UDA candidate.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Sydney was.
Yes.
This is St. Peter's.
No, this is not St. Peter's. The other one is St. Peter's.
Probably they should indicate to us where exactly this polling station is.
Yeah.
But it's just among the 144 polling stations across the whole Kalou constituency. You can see IBC officials already there. They've marked, they've barricaded the area, or rather marked it so that the queues can be clear and the stages properly marked so that you may know where exactly to go. Remember, there are rules for any election, and in a polling station you may find a number of booths, and each accommodates about 800 voters, and not more than that, at maximum 800 voters. So probably we'll be getting our reporters to explain to us exactly how the process is being carried out in some of these polling stations. Does it mirror exactly what happens during the general elections, or is it a bit different?
Yeah.
But yes, gates to polling stations have been opened, and voters who were there as early as 5, some of them 4 a.m., some of them kept vigil the entire night, are already here, ready to cast their ballots. They've been allowed to queue already, and they'll, within a few minutes, the very first voter will cast their ballot. I think it's already started, and you can see one voter being allowed one by one inside the building where the ballot boxes are. It's quite orderly so far.
Yeah.
And if this continues, this is a great start to a by-election. The good thing about Old Kalou, it's very accessible from very many different directions. And it makes security and management of this polling a bit easy.
Is it an off day for residents of Old Kalou today? Because if they're going,
unfortunately, no holiday has been declared.
I'm thinking at least wangepatiwa off day waende vote, because now you can imagine if somebody is here and then after this they're headed to work, or maybe somebody won't go to cast their votes today because they will be going to work early.
But it's a generally farming community, so most of the people there are not in formal employment.
Oh, yeah?
A lot of them are just attending to their farms, so they can take some time off, go cast a ballot, and then go back and attend to your farm as well.
That will be the older generation. What happens to the youth?
Well,
or are they all farmers?
They are there either.
Yeah.
So the issue is, I don't know if they're using some schools and what happens to learning in those schools during voting day.
144 polling stations, 5 wards of Old Kalou. All right, let's link up now with Laban Muhinda, who is at the Kalou Comprehensive School, speaking to some of the voters there. Laban, good morning once again. Tell us what you have for us again.
Good morning to you. I'm coming to you again live from Kalou Comprehensive, na nikiweza tu kubadilisha msimbo ni kuja katika lugha ya Kiswahili hapa katika shule hii ya Kalou Comprehensive, baada tu ya wakazi au wapiga kura kuweza kusubiri kwa dakika kadhaa katika lango kuu lenyewe liliweza kufunguliwa na umati wa watu umeweza kufurika katika eneo hili, ambapo shughuli tayari inaendelea ya kupiga kura. Na hapa ninao tu baadhi ya wapiga kura kutoka mji huu wa Kalou ambao ningependa kupata tu hisia zao ni zipi kuhusiana na shughuli ya siku ya leo. Karibu tu hapa. Utaanza kwa majina na utueleze kitu gani kilifanya mkaweza kuwekwa pale nje kwa muda huo wote.
So asante sana. Kwa majina naitwa Ken Mukera, mkaaji na mpiga kura wa kituo hiki cha AC Primary School. Kituo cha AC Primary School ndio kikubwa sana katika eneo bunge la Kalou, kinao wapiga kura 4756. Vile vile hiki ndio kituo kina determine nani atakuwa mshindi katika ubunge katika kiti cha Kalou kwa miaka mingi. So mimi pia ni mpiga kura hapa. Ya kwanza tunasema asanti kwa sababu mambo inaendelea vizuri. Tumekuwa pale nje katika gate katika tu utaratibu wa kuhakikisha kila kitu kiko sawa. Tunao pia maagent pale ndani ambao wanatu update kuwa kila kitu kinaendelea vizuri. Ukiangalia kwa wingi watu wamejitokeza vizuri. Tunaangalia kumefika watu kama 1000. Na katika saa 11,000 walikuwa wameshafika pale nje. Ni dhibitisho kuwa sisi watu wa hapo Kalou tulikuwa tumejiandaa vizuri, tulikuwa tumegoja nafasi hii ya kupeana mbunge wetu wa hapo Kalou, ambao tunajua tumekuja leo kureplace kwa sababu yule mbunge wetu aliyeweza kuondoka kwa sababu ya upendo wa Mungu kumchukua Mheshimiwa David Jogona Kiaraho. Na leo vile vile tunao wagombea viti wengi ambao ni 9. Kunazo chama kuu ambazo zinapigana nguvu, ambao tuna chama kikuu cha DCP, vile vile kuna chama cha Jubilee, kuna chama ambao bado kinang'ang'ana cha UDA. So ni dhibitisho kuwa leo itakuwa siku kuu kwa watu wa hapa Kalou.
Nikikuuliza hili swali, unahisi kuwa tume ya IEBC kufikia sasa umeridhishwa na jinsi inavyoendeleza shughuli hii?
Jinsi tulivyokaribishwa hapa ni dhibitisho kuwa wamejipanga vizuri, kwa sababu katika gate kuna mwelekezi anakueleza utaelekea wapi. Vile vile katika kituo nimeona presiding officer akieleza vizuri, haufai kuwa na simu katika kituo ndani. Unapoingia kura yako ni siri, unapewa, unaweka, na hakuna mambo ya kupiga picha, hakuna maneno ya kuonesha ni nini. Vile vile amesema kila mtu ako na huru ikiwa wewe ni mpiga kura wa hapa. Yale tu tunaomba sisi kama watu wa hapa Kalou, wote wa Kalou constituency, wale ambao watapiga kura tu ni wale tu wameandikishwa na wako katika voter register ya wapiga kura wa hapa Kalou constituency. Lakini tukiangalia, kwa sababu tunajuana, wengi ambao nimeona katika laini saa hii ni watu naweza taja kwa majina kwa sababu ni wakaaji wa hapa, wapiga kura wa hapa, na ni dhibitisho kuwa leo tutapata mshindi, na tunaomba tume iweze kuzingatia ukweli, haki katika upiga kura wa siku ya leo.
Na tukimalizia ungependa kutoa wito gani kwa wapiga kura haswa wa kituo hiki?
Kile ningeomba wote ambao wako hapa, wale wako nyumbani, kuwaomba tu kila mtu ajitokeze. Tunaomba kila mtu ajitokeze ili aweze kupeana haki yake. Ile ambayo mbunge tutapata leo akuwe ni mbunge ambao ni sisi tumeamua wakaaji wa hapa. Na ya umuhimu kabisa ni kuomba kila watu waweke amani. Hatutaki vita, hatujai kuwa watu wa vita. Kalou wanajulikana ni watu wenye upendo, watu wenye kuweka amani, na viongozi ambao tumekuwa nao wamekuwa wakuoneshana mwelekeo mzuri katika amani. So leo vile vile wakaaji wote wapiga kura tuweke amani. Baada ya leo uchaguzi ukiisha, tutazidi kuwa ndugu, dada na marafiki. Na umuhimu, najua kila mtu ana mtu wake. Ningeomba pia kwa sababu mimi na support aitwa Sami Douglas Kamau. Watu wa Munge. Naomba.
Asante. Na hayo ni maoni ya mpiga kura mmoja kutoka katika kituo hiki cha Kalou Comprehensive, akisema kuwa shughuli kufikia sasa inaendelea kwa njia shwari. Hivyo anatoa tu wito kwa wakazi, kwa wapiga kura kuweza kufika mahali hapa na kuweza kushiriki katika shughuli hii. Kwako studio.
Asante sana Laban Muhinda akikuja kwetu moja kwa moja kutoka pale Kalou Comprehensive School, ambapo ni mojawapo wa vituo vya kupiga kura kule Kalou. Kuna vituo takriban 144, wapiga kura wakiwa ni zaidi tu ya 73,000. We'll be going back there to get more details, and again a reminder to the voters and the electorate that once you get to within the precincts of the voting or the polling station, you're not supposed to campaign for your candidate or even use any party slogan or colors. So we could add some restraints so that you do not get on the wrong side of the law.
Right. I love that wanajuana. You've heard that speaker ametuambia that if he can just look around, ani watu wanajua and anaweza ita mtu kwa jina lake. So I think this is quite a united community, going by what he has said. But again, let's keep you updated on what is making headlines in the dailies, and we take a look at the Daily Nation.
Yes, but before that, we have Sydney Chazima at a different polling station. Sydney, coming to you once again, good morning. What has progressed so far?
Well, thank you very much. We are inside the SEK Huruma Comprehensive School right now, and the queues are starting to form here, and excitement and the anticipation of the voters can be seen in their eyes. And I have just been speaking to one gentleman here who has already cast his ballot. Maybe atuambie tu jina lake ni nani na shughuli imekuaje kwako?
Jina langu ni Joseph Kaze. Na nimekuja hapa sina shara kama haijafika, na mimi ndio mtu wa kwanza kupiga kura, na nimepiga na kura ni siri, lakini hapa kunaonekana kuna utulivu, watu hawana shida hata yoyote.
Na hebu nikuulize tu kama kuna zile mashini za IEBC, umekuwa na tashwishi yoyote kukujulisha wewe kama
vile nimeingia ndani na nikaamkiwa na hao watu, vile nimeona hiyo mashini haina shida yoyote, kwa sababu kama ingekuwa na shida mimi ningesema hapo.
Kutoka hapo unaenda wapi, kazi ama unarudi nyumbani?
Ni mimi narudi nyumbani direct, nisikilize hapo, nikionaga TV hapo nione vile watu wataendelea.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mmoja wapo wale ambao wamepiga kura hapa, na there are more waiting on the line. Maybe watuambie tu wanahisi vipi, mambo yanaendaje? Habari yako?
Mzuri sana.
Unaona kwamba mambo yamekuwa shwari? Umepiga kura hapa kwa muda gani?
Nimeenda venye nimevote. Nimevote kama mara 4.
Kuna tofauti ya leo na hizo siku nyingine?
Leo kuna tofauti juu wamebadilisha venye huwa tunapanga. Leo wamebadilisha, lakini kuna utulivu.
Na unahisi kwamba kuna mtu ambaye alikuwa anapiga hapa kura lakini hajapatikana hapa katika sajili hii, ama kuna rafiki yako ambaye anasema kwamba sasa sijajipata kwa sajili ya IEBC katika kituo hiki?
Kwa sasa hii sijasikia mtu akilalamika, lakini wanaenda tu akitafuta tu majina, lakini sijasikia mtu akilalamika.
Shukrani. Shukrani. Na kuna mama hapa lazima nizungumze nasi. Habari yako?
Mzuri sana.
Umefika mapema, baridi lakini unajitahidi tu kufika. Shukran. Let us just see if we can head inside the stream right here at this particular polling station, so to give you a glimpse of how the voting is going on. And as you can see, the process going on very smoothly. The voters just coming in and being able to be identified by the BVR kits from the IEBC, and then heading over here to cast their ballot. Seated behind me are various agents for various candidates, just observing how the situation is going on. Right here, as you can see, the IEBC official there just helping one of the registered voters here, stamping the ballot and granting the voter the secret ballot so that they can head over there to the polling booth and cast their ballot. Right here, you can see the identification process through the BVR kits is going on with the IEBC official just checking the details from their identification and just taking their biometrics and allowing them to take the vote. And right here, my camera person Jones can just span here. There's just one person has just cast his ballot as they await. And as I told you, there are various observers and agents on this side, just making sure that this exercise is going on as smoothly as possible. Can you speak? So, studio, this is probably the picture and the current situation right here in one of the streams at SEK Huruma, where voting has just commenced and polls have just opened. And so far so good. We are not able to see anyone who has a complaint about not being able to be identified by the BVR kits. And something interesting as well is that what we are able to see from the queues is that very different faces. It's not like the other by-elections I've been to. Remember, we were in Malava, we were in Emuro Dikir and Kasipul, where we observed that most of the people in the queues were all elderly people, elderly women, elderly men. But here what we can see is that there is a representation of all ages, something very interesting to look at going forward. And the number of turnout is very interesting because we were able to see once the gates were open, there was a scramble. There was a lot of commotion with people just getting in and trying to anticipate what is going to happen. And at this moment here, we are just seeing the IEBC official taking picture of one of the voters here. Maybe there might have been an issue or to do with their identification. So they're just taking the picture and verifying so that they can allow the voter to go ahead and cast his ballot. As I was speaking on the demography of people voting, it might be an interesting something we look at comparatively with the other by-elections because of the age gap of the people who have turned out to vote. And it gives an interesting picture going with the national politics and the discourse about the demography of people who usually vote. So it is something interesting, and we are keeping an eye on it, and we shall be informing you more. So, rightfully so, these are the pictures from Ol Kalou Comprehensive School, and we shall be giving you a further update as the voting continues. Studio.
Thank you so much, Sini Chazima, for that latest report. Voting has kicked off and is underway in many polling stations in Ol Kalou. We've been focusing on two polling stations, the St. Peter's SEK Huruma Comprehensive Primary and also the earlier one. It was, which one was
Comprehensive Primary School and St. Peter's Huruma Primary School.
Okay, yes. Those are the two areas we've been focusing on, and our reporters are still combing other areas to give us updates on that. Even as we continue observing the voting process, no hiccup has been witnessed so far. Security is tight. There's a lot of vigilance. Voters are already out. They were there as early as midnight, probably some of them. They've been allowed in. No one has complained about their names missing from the voters register, according to our reporters there. And so far, so good in the Ol Kalou by-elections. Probably take a look at the other dailies, which are still focusing on the same process. And the Daily Nation has used a very interesting story about the rumble in the mountain. You know, this rumble in mountain takes us back to the rumble in the jungle. Yeah, back in DRC where Muhammad Ali took on one of the biggest fighters there. So rumble in the mountain between these two gentlemen, President William Ruto and his former deputy, Rigathi Gachagua. So it is the same theme across all dailies today. It is William Ruto, Rigathi Gachagua, and what's happening in Ol Kalou. Nine candidates are vying. Now, the Daily Nation has other, because it has covered this by-election on 3-4 pages, interesting headlines here. For example, the ELOG, the Election Observation Group, has said the Ol Kalou mini poll is compromised because of inducements, including cash as well as gas cylinders, mattresses, shoes, and other household items. But on the next page, there's a story about the IEBC commissioner saying not every handout during campaigns is bribery. Yeah, and this is the former registrar of political parties, who's now IEBC commissioner, Anderito. She says citizens do not lose their right to development simply because there is an election. You cannot suspend development during an election season. That's the IEBC. So differing opinions about the campaign process and how it played out. Observer group saying, there are questions here and there. And probably, if at all, there'll be court challenges after the results are announced. Probably these are some of the things that will be mentioned in court as evidence that, yes, probably there was inducement, probably there was violence here and there. IEBC does not agree with that, but ELOG says there were issues. So quite some coverage of the by-elections in Ol Kalou on the front page and inside pages of the Daily Nation. We still have Taifa Leo.
Right, nani atatamba leo kule Ol Kalou? Matokeo ya uchaguzi mdogo wa eneo bunge la Ol Kalou unaofanyika leo yatatoa mwelekeo wa kisiasa katika ukanda wenye idadi kubwa ya wapiga kura wa Mlima Kenya kuelekea uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka 2027. Ni katika sehemu hii chama cha UDA cha Rais William Ruto kilipata ushindi wake wa kwanza wa kisiasa baada ya kutoa uchaguzi mdogo wa wadi ya Rurii dhidi ya Jubilee mwaka 2021. Is it Rurii or Rurii?
Rurii. It's Rurii.
Rurii. Yeah. You know, we have a place like that in Kisumu.
Rurii.
Rurii.
Okay.
It's called Rurii, yeah. So ni kufa kupona katika kinyang'anyiro cha Ol Kalou ambapo wawaniaji wa UDA na DCP wanapigana mieleka. Yeah, wanasema wawaniaji wa UDA na DCP, but there are 7 other candidates. So yeah, we'll also just mention them. Vidokezo zaidi, koti ya zima marasta bangi. Hiyo story ni kama imegusa wengi, bado inazungumziwa kwa gazeti la Taifa Leo. The Daily Nation has also talked about it as well. So Taifa Leo bado Ol Kalou tu.
Ol Kalou. Nani atatamba leo? Ni swali tu pale. Right. Tukiangazia Karakacha leo pia, I think at least 2 of them talk about the by-elections in Ol Kalou, and we start off with the Daily Nation. The cartoon on the Daily Nation today talks about Ol Kalou, and there's this person who had rolled out a red carpet for goodies and now is rolling it back.
Yes.
And Asema, it was a pleasure doing business with you people of Ol Kalou. Tumemaliza hiyo. Hakuna goodies tena. The other one, similar to that, is the one on the Standard. So there's this lady who's going to a shop, Ol Kalou Hustlers Charity Shop, where if you go there, you get free mattresses, free unga, free cooking oil, free blankets, and she's being told shop has been closed until the next election. Hiyo imefika mwisho.
Yeah.
After today, no more goodies.
Kama ile mbere. Was it 5 transformers?
15 transformers.
Hey.
But you see now,
Yeah.
APLC said no, they returned. Those ones, they're just taking them for maintenance. They're back. So those are the 2 cartoons linked to the Ol Kalou by-elections.
Yeah.
It's about the goodies and them coming to an end.
The one on the Star is fresh, independent, and different. The Luhya elusive unity. He's a threat to our kingship, right? Our tunaona leaders of the Luhya community who are caricatured here. Notably, we can see Speaker of the National Assembly. There's also Eugene Wamalwa, lakini nashangaa mbona amevalishwa those things like Jesus?
Because these are crowns. They've been the kingpins. They've always claimed that they were kingpins of the Luhya nation.
Ebu angalia Wamalwa. What is that?
Mchoraji hapo akumfanyia poa.
Yeah.
So they're under threat by this new kid on the block.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is Edwin Sifuna. The one on the People Daily?
People Daily. This is about a new graduate who's talking to someone who sponsored him and had promised him a job. Mheshimiwa, you promised me a job in your last campaigns. This is my CV. Honorable Tumbo anamwambia congratulations. You are now my goon. Kazi iko, lakini ya goonship.
Sad state of affairs.
Very sad. Right.
All right, let's take a look at the state of the weather. Tukuambie kuna kavipi even as you wake up to go to work. This morning, Naivasha, it's a cloudy day, 11 degrees this morning, highs of 21 degrees expected in Naivasha. Light rains expected in Vihiga. Actually, it's a cloudy day in Naivasha, no light rains. 18 degrees this morning in Vihiga County, highs of 27 degrees. Kalou, once again, 9 degrees. It's a mostly cloudy day, highs of 21 degrees today in Kalou. Nyeri Town, it's a partly sunny day, 24 degrees this morning. Highs of 24 degrees are the highs today. This morning is 13 degrees. Kiambu County, it's a cloudy day, 13 degrees this morning, highs of 25 degrees. And finally, Nairobi, yes, light rains expected today, 14 degrees this morning, and highs of 26 degrees expected in the capital city today. The Meteorological Department had released an advisory telling us that there will be rains starting today, the 16th of July, up until the 21st of July in 17 counties, Nairobi included. So 17 counties expect rain for the next 5 days, 16th to 21st. That's the state of the weather.
All right, if you're joining us now, this is a special coverage of the ongoing Kalou by-elections, 28 minutes past 6. So they've been voting for the last 28 minutes because polling stations opened exactly at 6 to the dot. I thought probably they were using a different clock. It was 6 exactly here on my clock. And that's the point they opened the gates at one of the polling stations. I think it was a St. Peter's Huruma Church. St. Peter's ACK Comprehensive School. Yes. And voting continuing, and you can see there IEBC officials using their kits to identify the voters and then allowing them now to proceed to the next level where they will get ballot papers and to proceed to the voting booth where they're casting their ballots so far. And we've had one of those people who has already voted in one of the polling stations saying the process is smooth and very fast. And this is what we expect probably for the rest of the day, that voters will just keep streaming in. Quite some excitement earlier on. Most of those voters were there as early as midnight. Some of them spent the nights outside the polling stations and just hoping to cast their ballots as early as possible and go back to their normal business. It is not a holiday. Even though they're going out to vote and using some school classrooms, but it's not a holiday. So watu bado watarudi kazini. You can see, I think that's one of the IBC officials trying to examine someone's fingerprints. Probably they have difficulty in getting to use BVR kits for identification because they use biometrics. Probably because of advanced age, some of these challenges do occur. And then again, as I mentioned, it is a farming community, and when you engage in manual labor, it does affect your fingerprints as well, your biometrics. And then if that happens and the kit is not able to identify you as a voter there, then they have to use a different method of identifying you manually, or using your picture or using your name on the register as well to see if it matches your ID. Yes, so definitely IBC doing a good job there. So far so good. Voters also staying very vigilant to ensure that those people that turn out to vote are actually bona fide voters of that constituency. They say they know each other by name. One of the polling stations, they said that's the biggest polling station with about 4,000 voters. But they said, the gentleman we spoke to, that I can identify all 4,000 of them. I know them.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
So once again, this is serving as a high-stakes litmus test for regional and national political dominance ahead of next year's general election. And I was just doing the math. We have like about 379 days, 78 days to the next general election.
Yeah, by August 10th, we'll be counting 365. The countdown begins in earnest.
Yeah.
But for now, all the focus is on Ol Kalou constituency, where voting is already underway, and we'll be bringing you more details throughout the day. Up until we get the results of the by-elections in Ol Kalou, TV47 promises to be there live and direct. Remember, you can interact with us even as we continue covering this situation. It is TV47 Digital on X, TV47 Kenya on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. Use the hashtag TV47 Breakfast, hashtag Story Yetu.
All right, be sure to tag us. Our handles, mine is at Ann_Odida. You know, I wanted to say my phone number.
Oh, you want to give us your phone
I
number?
almost did that.
My handle on X is at Freddy Ndimuli. Let's take a short break. We'll be back to continue with our special coverage of the Ol Kalou by-elections.
You have to be very careful. You can kill business. Na leo mko rada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yaani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona, hii ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo inaitwa commitment to the lie. Amejicommit.
Ndio hiyo. Mpatie.
Unajua kama una mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho ya kesho ya tomorrow.
Hiyo time. Mzee ni budi nikamchoka.
Ni budi ni madeni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business. Na leo mko rada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yaani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona, hii ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo inaitwa commitment.
Indimuli, shukran sana. Na katika kituo hiki cha kupigia kura cha Kalou Comprehensive, kwa dakika kama 5 zilizopita hivi kumekuwa na malalamishi kwa baadhi ya wapiga kura. Tumeona wakipiga kelele, wakizua zogo hapa kule, na kwa sasa wacha tusikie mpiga kura ambaye alikuwa katika ile foleni ni mambo gani, atueleze ni mambo gani alikuwa yakitukia, na kama jambo hilo ambalo liliwafanya wakaweza kukuwa na ghadhabu hiyo kama limeweza kutatuliwa. Karibu tu ndani ya TV47, uko live ndani ya TV47, tueleze kwa majina wewe ni nani, na tumeona kumekuwa na purukushani hapa. Ni mambo gani ambayo yalikuwa yakijiri?
Mimi Josephine Mogore Kamau. Kuna tulikuwa tumekuja kuchaguana asubuhi na mapema, ikakuwa venye tumepanga laini, kuna watu wanaenda wameajiriwa wanataka kuenda kazini, watu wakaanza kusema, au mapolisi wakaanza kusema hakuna kunini kupita watu laini, tukawaomba wape watu wanaenda job nafasi ndio wachaguana, wameanza kukataa, ndio maana kelele imekuja na wakakubalishwa kuchaguana.
Kwa hivyo unasema baada ya nyinyi kama wapiga kura kuweza kupiga kelele na kuzua zogo, walikubaliwa kwenda kupiga kura?
Washakubaliwa kupiga kura.
Kwa hivyo tukiendelea katika hii shughuli ya kupiga kura, ungependa IEBC au maafisa wa polisi waweze kuzingatia wale ambao ni wafanyikazi waweze kupiga kura ndipo waweze kuondoka?
Tunaweza pendelea juu kila mahali kunatakikana watu na amani. Watu wale wanataka kupiga kura wa kwanza wapewe wapige kura kwanza, waende nyumbani, waende warudi makazini kwao, na hatutaki furugu yeyote. Tunataka kuchaguana na amani, na tunataka amani kwa sai, na sisi ni wakaanji wa Kalou, na nimeshukuru.
Kando na hilo zoga ile jambo ambalo limetokea, wewe kama mpiga kura unahisi kuwa shughuli nzima inaendeleaje kwa sasa?
Saa hii shughuli mzima inaendelea mzuri, na naona watu wote wako koraini na watu wameraukia mapema.
Asante sana. Na Indimuli, kama vile ambavyo umesikia, hayo ni maoni ya mpiga kura mmoja akisema kuwa katika chini ya dakika 5 zilizopita kulikuwa na kelele zikitokea pale ambapo kuna wale wapiga kura ambao ni wafanyikazi walikuwa wamekatazwa kwenda kupiga kura, lakini baada ya wapiga kura wengine kuweza kupiga kelele na kuamrisha wale polisi waweze kuwakubalia kwenda kupiga kura, baadaye waliweza kukubaliwa na wakaenda kupiga kura. Hivyo wanaomba tu tume ya IEBC iweze kuzingatia wale wapiga kura ambao ni wafanyikazi katika maofisi mbalimbali waweze kupewa kipaumbele katika shughuli hii ya kupiga kura. Kwako Indimuli.
Thank you so much, Laban Muhinda, for that update from the Kalou by-elections. And yes, this is our special coverage of this by-elections, which is already underway. Voting already underway in all the polling centers. We've not had any reports of any delays anywhere. And as Laban Muhinda says, he's just talking about a bit of commotion witnessed in one of the polling stations. Many people are eager to vote, and probably some of those who still have to report at their places of work were hoping to get some privilege or to be allowed to vote before the rest. That is not how it works. Once you're on the queue, it is first come, first serve. But voting continues nonetheless. As we had mentioned earlier, it is not a public holiday, so people still have to attend to their day-to-day activities. Some of them have to attend to their farms, some have to attend to their children, and some have to attend to their places of work, some of them being employees. Despite the fact that Kalou is generally a farming community. So that's the latest from Kalou. Back in studio, I do have a panel with us to help us go through the initial stages of the voting process. Allow me to welcome them this morning. We have Abdi Noor Mohammed, who's the chairperson, Inter-Counties Coordinating Committee of the DCP. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
We also have Mwalimu Wilson Sosion, a veteran teacher and unionist, with us this morning, also a former member of parliament. Karibu sana, Mwalimu.
Asante.
Also with us this morning is Kevin Osido, governance specialist and executive director, County Governance Watch. Kevin, it's good to have you in studio.
Thank you so much.
Gentlemen, a lot had been anticipated, a lot of anxiety, especially the last few days before we got to the D-Day today. If you look at the dailies, they're all talking about the battle being between the president and his former deputy. This is not really how the by-elections should be viewed as. These are people from Ol Kalou who are choosing their next member of parliament. Why are we insisting that this is more of a national contest than a local by-election? Let's start with you, Bwana Abdi.
Thank you for having me. In fact, it's not a national contest. These are two young men contesting, all from Ol Kalou.
Actually 9.
No, okay, the main big ones. The big ones are 2. The rest are the way I feel that is. And I think why it is a big contest is because of the amount of money being spent here by the government. 10 billion shillings. I was in Ol Kalou, I came yesterday. There is no cabinet minister who has not been there. No permanent secretary who has not been there. Even the Minister of Tourism was there. And I went there and saw even boats being distributed. They could distribute anything they could find. Gas, the gas cylinders. They were distributing boats. They were distributing everything. Therefore, I think why there's a lot of hype is because of the amount of focus the government has put and the amount of resources the government of Kenya has taken there. Unlike any other by-election. There was a by-election in Balisa. The government took a 40-ton lorry of maize. There was one in Ugunja, nothing. But this one, it seems it is life and death for William Ruto, for him. But for us, we find this as a
when you talk about us, who are you talking about?
I'm talking about DCP.
It's not life and death for Rigathi Gachagua. It is also, he's also on all the front pages as well.
Yeah, yes, front pages, yes. But it is, I think it's a life and death for 2 people.
Yes.
One, William Ruto thinks it's life and death for him. But it is a life and death for the 7 commissioners of the IEBC. If they fail to conduct a free and fair election today, that means the commission is dead officially.
Okay. It's the fact that we are seeing Rigathi Gachagua on the front pages as well. Bwana Sossion. Do you feel that this thing has been blown out of context? That it should be ideally people of Ol Kalou electing their member of parliament, but you look at our dailies and it's about Rumble in a jungle, Rigathi versus Ruto, Nani atatamba leo. It's all about Rigathi Gachagua and William Ruto.
You know, I think people are trying to read too much because it's an issue happening in front of us today. But when you get to the facts, the Honorable Kiarao died. That was a member of parliament. And it's tragic for the people of Ol Kalou. And now they have to struggle to get another member of parliament to complete the term. There are 9 candidates who have offered themselves. They've been campaigning. There's been campaigning by the different parties and different groups. To me, I will look at it as a function of normal democracy over people looking for their leader at that particular local level. And it has nothing to do with even the president. The president has no time to interfere and with the activities of a constituents and when constituents are electing their leaders. So I don't think we really need to read too much. Campaigns were closed on Monday, and today voters are going to the vote, and they're exercising their sovereign power by electing a member of parliament from those who have been qualified by the IEBC. And contrary to what Abdi is talking about, IEBC is a super machine that will conduct elections in...
Why would you give them that kind of...
It is a super
machine?
Yeah, it's a super machine. And I think over time we've developed an institution that is efficient. We've seen IEBC being contracted to conduct elections in other institutions, LSK and the rest. And I think it's a credible institution. And so there will be credible elections. So at the end of the day, there will be a member of parliament. Yes. And that member of parliament will be welcomed by all members of parliament on Tuesday 21st and will be sworn in as a member of parliament.
And will definitely be a member of parliament at the end of this. But Kevin Nosido, it is said that in a contest such as this, the electorate in Ol Kalou comes second, that no one really cares about their choice. That right now it's up to the 2 leaders who are on the front pages. And I can see one of the leaders of the DCP party, That's Cleophas Malala, Deputy Party Leader, and he's there in one of the polling stations, and he's not a voter here. I'm not certain whether he's an agent or not. So it would be nice to hear what exactly he's doing there, and our reporter will update us on that. Yeah, he's at one of the polling stations, and our reporter there, Sydney Chazima, will be getting to him in a short while to just understand. That's a St. Peter's ACK Huruma Comprehensive Primary, one of the polling stations there. But back to this discussion, that the voters in Olkalau come second. Their choice doesn't really matter. It's the choice of these two people here. Probably the focus is on President William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. Do you think that some of these contests are a bit unfair to the affected voters?
Thank you so much, Fred. And not probably a bit unfair, but largely to indicate that this is a political process. And that in a political process, you will of course have the major players, and the major players here being aspirants. Once are cleared by IEBC, you become a candidate, and then you have the voters. So the IEBC gives you an opportunity to go out there and campaign. So you talk to the citizens, you talk to people who ultimately are the ones who vote for you. And insofar as the campaign is concerned, you share your ideas, you share your vision, you share your goal for the constituents. The only concerns probably that might raise unfairness is the level of uproar that we have seen certain candidates mobilizing around, especially when it comes to the president and his former brother or friend, the DCP party leader, Mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua. And of course, as you rightfully said earlier on, there are 9 candidates, and you see that it is appearing as if now nobody else matters other than the 2 candidates who belong to DCP. And to
is it even about the candidates? According to the papers, it's about William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. Actually, some of them don't even have the picture or names of candidates on their front pages.
Exactly. They only have the pictures of the president and his former deputy. And that really indicates the kind of political narrative that we have as a country. That when it comes to a by-election that is close to less than 400 days to the next general election, and you have a very strong incumbent in the name of President William Ruto fighting, quote unquote, in brackets, with his former deputy president, and having emerged as winners, in one ticket, a president and his deputy, your one ticket. Then in between, remember that even as we are talking about this, there was already a by-election for a ward, I think it's called Ruri Ward, where UDA actually won against Jubilee. And at that point in time, you realize that these 2 gentlemen were quite strongly united. So for President William Ruto and his former friend, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, it has to appear in the manner in which even the papers are actually portraying it, that this is a battle between 2 people, and that we might not care about maybe the voters, the residents, and any other candidates.
And we'll continue this conversation. Right now, we want to understand why Cleophas Malala is actually at one of the polling stations there. Sydney Chazima, over to you. What is Cleophas Malala doing at that station?
Well, studio, we are standing outside this school where the voting is continuing smoothly, and we have been able to track down DCP Deputy Party Leader Cleo Malala just to give us an update on what he has observed as is going on so far. How are you?
I'm good. Sydney, how are you?
Fine.
Good. I think so far so good. We've been able to start off the day well. All the agents have reported in good time. There is peace and calm, and we expect that we shall have this trend all through the day. We are optimistic that this is going to be a good day for us because people have turned out in large numbers, and we are also urging anybody who is still home to wake up and come and exercise their civic right. Secondly, we also want to urge the police officers, especially those in plain cloth, not to intimidate voters, because we've seen so many vehicles here without number plates, and we've told our people that any vehicle that has no number plate is therefore suspects to activities that may want to interfere with this election. So we want to call upon the residents of Kalou, make sure you vote and also guard the airport.
There were complaints yesterday that the deployment of police was somewhat over-deployment, and it spoke to almost as an intimidation of voters not to turn out. But what you're observing is seemingly a huge turnout. Can you speak to that?
Of course, this is a paranoid government, a government that fears itself, a government that does not have confidence in itself. That is why they over-deployed. But nevertheless, the people of Kalou have shown maturity in exercising their democratic rights, and they are calm, and we don't see any cause of alarm. But as to when anything contrary to what we expect happens, we'll be able to reach out.
And finally, we are expecting the DCP candidate for All Kalou to vote. Where will you be voting for, and will you be there?
Yeah, you'll be voting at AC polling station at exactly 10. And I believe that will be a golden casting of the vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Studio. That was DCP Deputy Party Leader Cleo Malala just giving us an update on what he has observed so far in this by-election as it goes on. He tells us that he has been able to witness very calm and peaceful queues, and that the IEBC officials have ensured that this process has started well, smoothly, and is also urging police officers to maintain peace and avoid the usage of unmarked vehicles. And this is something we were able to identify early in the morning, that the voters here were very keen on the vehicles that are making their way into this particular polling station, claiming that no vehicle will be allowed unchecked, and also people with bags will not be allowed inside unchecked. So what I can also report is that the queues are still long, and some are still minimal, depending on the stream where people were designated to vote from. And if my camera person, Jones, can just take you on my right and just give you a picture of what is really going on right now, is that people just waiting in line in anticipation to vote. It is chilly, it is peaceful, and this is a very huge turnout comparatively. We were speaking yesterday to Dibal, who had asked that will the deployment of the police be something of a deterrence to the voters turning out, but we've been able to observe that it had little to or minimal impact on how the enthusiasm of the voters is concerned. As you can see, the queues are quite long, and people are turning out, and there's no sense of fear or sense of intimidation so far. So this is what we can give as an update as from now, and we are anticipating that Samuel Mushina of UDA will be making his way anytime soon at this polling station and cast his ballot. And as you've heard from the DCP Deputy Party Leader Cleo Malala, we shall also be heading to AC Primary School, where Sammy Douglas we shall be casting his ballot. Back to studio.
Thank you so much, Sidney Chazima, for that update from the St. Peter's ACK Huruma Comprehensive Primary School, where Deputy Party Leader of the DCP, Cleophas Malala, has just appeared there to just supervise or observe as the elections continue. Voting underway for about close to an hour now, because the polling stations were opened at exactly 6 a.m. this morning. They were right on time, and voters were already keeping vigil outside the polling stations, and once the gates were opened, they streamed in, and voting has gone on so far without any hitches. A few complaints here of delays. Probably people who had to attend to other things wanted to be allowed to vote before others, but that has since been sorted out. Remember, police deployment in and around Kalou has been quite high, over 1,000 officers deployed to just ensure there's peace within the polling stations and around the constituency. But residents of Kalou insist they're also keeping vigil, and they remain vigilant to ensure that no electoral malpractice is committed. Now, talking about electoral malpractice, And that has been one of the biggest discussions. At one point, even the IEBC chairperson said he may be forced to postpone or delay this election. I can see that the Elections Observation Group, ELOG, has already declared that the environment in Ol Kalou was compromised, citing inducements, voter buying, alleged attempts to buy IDs, campaign disruption and violence, all these things. So are we saying that this definitely, whichever way it goes, whoever wins, that this, many people will have complaints, and some of these complaints may be valid, that after whoever wins, the DCP or the PNU or the Jubilee candidate, that others will definitely have grounds for complaints?
Yes, certainly. According to the Kofi Annan Foundation, in 2026, Kenya is ranking number 2 globally insofar as electoral violence is concerned. We have become a country of goons. We were unable to campaign properly in Ol Kalou because the government was unleashing goons by the second. You have seen the Muranga governor going to Nyahururu and his driver being shot just because UDA, the party I found, by the way, I'm the founding chairman, emeritus UDA, I'm the first chairman, national chairman, that is, was born in Ruri ward in Ol Kalou. And William Ruto thinks it will die in Ol Kalou again today. Therefore, the government has used so much force and goodies. You can imagine they were trying to give women in Ol Kalou shoes. I don't know where this money is coming from, and it's not in the budget. They have tried to do every tactic, every strategy, but failed. And we will be vindicated today.
The IBC says not every handout, and this is the next page after ELOG's declaration that the situation was compromised. The IBC says not every handout during campaigns is bribery. And they quote one of the commissioners, Anderito, citizens do not lose their right to development simply because there is an election. You cannot suspend development during an election season. What do you say to that?
I don't know, providing shoes for women and men is development. That is tokenism. But by and large, William Ruto thinks that this is his political deathbed because he knows UDA was born here and it will die here. Therefore, what he has done is, you can imagine what type of development is giving out gas cylinders to Wananchi? It was in which budget? Can the government show us which budget line was that? Mm-hmm. Which budget line was saying that boats will be taken to a small dam in Ol Kalou?
And my question was, do you see with this argument, do you see that any candidate out of the 9 who feels they did not, or who doesn't win, that now they have a valid complaint to go to court with?
Except the UDA candidate. The rest will have valid reasons to complain because the UDA candidate has overspent over 10 billion shillings. And Andy Ruto, the IBC commissioner, should also tell us which budget line these things are coming from. Okay. You can imagine uprooting transformers from Bere to Ol Kalou at night. This is open bribery, which is unacceptable. But with all this bribery, they will lose at the end of the day, inshallah.
Okay. Mwalimu, this has been the discussion. Even last week when you were here, we were talking about this. Whether or not this, whatever government action was there, whether it qualifies as voter bribery. It is the same thing, and the Election Observation Group, ELOG, says there were inducements. It says the environment, because of voter buying and inducements, the environment was compromised. The IEBC disagrees. But do you think that this is a valid reason for people, anyone, to seek redress after this process?
I think sometimes we love controversies for no good reason. You cannot limit also democracy too much. And trying to argue that government activities and programs constitute bribery is completely wrong and out of place, because you cannot stop government from functioning. You cannot stop programs targeting the indigents, the vulnerable people in the society, and align ministries engaged in activities related to that. You cannot stop the Ministry of Energy from addressing matters to do with households and promoting the LPG gas, which in the long run is a government strategy to protect our forests and our environment by shifting households to using gas. You can't stop. You know, we've talked about tourism activities. The Minister for Tourism has been seen in that place. The Minister for Tourism is a resident of that particular community, and there is a great move to expand tourism products in the country and to create every tourist products and activities in every part of the country. And so charity begins at home. The CS tourism is from that community. So to me, I don't see anything wrong. Government activities are government activities. That does not affect the personal decision of voters. The voters will interact with the government programs, and the voters will also interact with the candidates and with their agendas and with their manifestos, and they will be able to make an independent decision. I think sometimes, like Elok and the others, let us not underestimate the high level of capacity of Kenyan voters to listen to their leaders, and also to make a very independent decision to elect a leader they feel will represent them in parliament. This is about I, the voter of Ol Kalou, electing a person that I feel will represent me in parliament. And there are 9 candidates altogether, all the 9, and they're going to the ballot. So whatever government programs that have been undertaken cannot constitute to voter bribery, and that IEBC has agreed with it. And so to close this chapter, we have seen election is very peaceful. Turn up, vote, go home. Counting will be done in the evening. IEBC will declare the results eventually, and the chapter will be closed.
Yet
the constituency will move on.
The IEBC
Kenya will move on.
sanctioned some leaders for alleged voter bribery. MP for Nakuru Town East, David Gikari, was fined 2.5 million shillings for alleged voter bribery. That's a case that the IEBC has already determined, meaning that there are obvious electoral malpractices. Hence the statement by the IEBC chairperson that he may be forced to even delay or postpone this election. Don't you think that declaration alone paints a rather gloomy picture of the integrity of the process, and therefore this will definitely be one of those processes that will be contested after the fact?
Of course, Fred, I agree with you in total, and to the extent that already there are concerns, even up to the campaign period, that there are electoral malpractices. We have laws in this country, we have mechanisms that are supposed to protect the opportunities for disenfranchising voters and actually even interfering with processes that are supposed to, enhance the democratic rights of individuals. In the event that any of the 9 candidates decides to go to court, of course, the context, the timing, all these things remaining constant, as they say, ceteris paribus, this election might be questioned, not necessarily to agree with ELOG, but as a Kenyan who has been part of the electoral processes for, I think, since many, many years, 2002 etc. There are lessons that we keep learning, but we lose them. And the challenge, therefore, is in implementing those laws. And it is even much more bothersome because every electoral cycle that we have, we see a lot of changes that are being put into the legal infrastructure of our electoral process. For example, if you talk about the campaign financing, IEBC even gave guidelines on the amount of monies that are supposed to be spent in the electoral processes. Why would people want to spend more? I remember the Deputy Chief Justice, Philomena Mwilu, even speaking to IEBC and telling them, in the event that you do not do as is required, and this process has come to us as a court, we will do what is expected of us. And so I am hoping that that there are documentation processes that are going on. I am hoping that the observers in the different missions, the different observer missions on ground are recording, they are taking photos, and that they are able to deduce proper evidence that in the event that any of the candidates decide that my rights were interfered with, and you go to court, that will be able to establish a proper threshold. I do not agree with my good friend Commissioner Andy Ritu that you cannot stop development. Remember that, as we already said earlier on, this is already a very high octane political process. The people of Olkalau know what government has promised from their leaders, right from the presidency all the way to their MCAs. If these things have not been done for the last 4 years, etc., or depending on what timelines the promises were made, I do not think that a by-election, therefore, should be the opportunity where you come and you begin to say, now we want to give you LPG gas, we want to buy you shoes that we didn't think you probably deserved because you've always been here, you've been doing your own things. There has to be a threshold that where IEBC begins to stop government also from engaging in electoral process. We have laws, for example, that bar public officers from engaging in political processes. But we have seen principal secretaries, we have seen cabinet secretaries, we have seen high-level government officials engaging in political campaigns and in other places, including speakers of National Assembly and the Senate, high-level government officials, despite the fact that we have laws that safeguard these processes. So the levels of impunity, Fred, that we continue to see, in my view, therefore, strengthen these things and make them look normal. And that I do not think that is going to help us, especially as we move towards the 2027 general election that is also being seen to be very highly contested given the kind of candidates. And so I'm hoping that as we move forward, IEBC will help Kenyans to really learn through what is right and should be done in the right manner, and what is wrong and should be done in the wrong manner, and that even other institutions like Parliament, particularly the National Assembly, will also come to the fore and preside over the passage of critical laws like the Campaign Financing Act, so that it becomes very clear that when IEBC says as a presidential candidate you can only spend up to 4.5 to 5 billion shillings, why would you want to spend 10 billion in a by-election? Fred, I think that these are some concerns that as a people and as a country we need to begin to think through. And finally, the citizens, the voters, I'm very impressed by the turnout that we see there, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the results are going to tally at the end of the day. Fact of the matter, Fred, you and I know that Kenyans are largely peaceful when it comes to political processes. The voting, the queuing, we have no problem, and I have to thank those who are allowing those who are going to work, because that is the best way to do it. If somebody says, tafadhali niruhusu nipite nipige kura niende kazi, these people know each other. Allow them to go, because even IEBC guidelines allow that, special interest groups like persons with disability, etc. So if the locals there have agreed that if you are going to work and we know that you are going to work, we'll allow you to go and vote. Allow them to go and vote. But ultimately, where the rubber meets the road and our elections become negative, full of violence, is at the point of counting, tallying, and announcing the leaders, so that people now begin to wonder, yani sisi tumerauka asubuhi, we went and voted, now look at the kind of turnout. Yes. So IEBC has to also exercise its independence to protect and safeguard all.
And those three processes, the counting, tallying, and declaration of results, will come later this evening after polling closes at 5 p.m. But Abdi, I want to take you back to something you said, and you talked about what the Kofi Annan Foundation report talked about, and it came only days. This report was released only days before this by-election, and it quoted even the rising tensions around this process in Olkalau and how it would impact the general elections of next year. Do you agree that with that report? Do you feel that probably there's too much anxiety and that this by-election could be contributing to perhaps some anticipated violence to whatever level come August 2027?
Yes. Let me tell you. The government has deployed about 1,000 police officers to Olkalau. If you divide that by 142 polling centers, that's about an average of 6 police officers per polling station. These 1,000 police officers deployed today were nowhere in Kisumu, where the Lina Mwananchi team were attacked. These 1,000 officers were nowhere to be found when there was violence, mass violence in Malava, Mbere. They just found themselves today because they think they're losing Olkalau. In fact, the deployment of the police officers today in Olkalau, the over-deployment, let me say, is a means to intimidate the voter today there. And William Ruto thinks that he can intimidate his way up to 2027, to victory, which is nearly impossible. We are Kenyans and we know Kenyans who we are.
But seeing that kind of turnout today, do they look like they're intimidated by anything?
It's still
voting has so far gone on so well.
It is still too early. It's still too early. We are around 7, 8 now, 7 a.m. We will wait for time. I'm just telling you, why were these officers not there on the ground when they were needed? Let me tell you, the government, led by William Ruto, has made the National Police Service into a national prosecution service. Can you imagine goons were watching when the governor of Muranga was being attacked in what do you call it, in Nyahururu? When the governor Orengo and Babu Owino were being attacked, they were watching. What I'm just saying now simply is, in Olkalau, the over-deployment of police officers is meant to intimidate. And I want to agree with my colleague here that these goodies in Olkalau, Mr. Sosion, Mheshimiwa Sosion says that government development projects cannot stop. Which government development project were shoes allocated? Where was this? The government just knew that tourism is required in Olkalau immediately after the death of a member of parliament. And we don't want where is the budget line for these things? Therefore, I'm just saying simply is, we have a government in panic mode. Unfortunately, we have the most incompetent security minister ever since Kenya's independence. We have another permanent secretary who is a goon leader himself in the name of Raymond Omolo.
A goon leader? Why would you say that Raymond Omolo is a goon leader? That's a very serious allegation by the
because yes, I'm ready to defend it. He has been, all the leaders in his region, Nyanza, have pointed fingers at him.
Okay.
And he has not even come to defend himself because
my question,
he's a goon leader.
My question was about how what we're witnessing now could replicate in the elections of last year or next year. What aspects do you see that we've witnessed this time around that you feel could very easily be repeated towards 2027 that should worry us?
Yes, the use of goons should worry us because I said William Ruto thinks he can intimidate this country by use of goons so that we fear. You know, there's a general perception that the government has this so-called system. You remember in the same way in 2022. Therefore, he thinks he can use these goons to intimidate us. And I believe that Kenyans are not easily intimidated, especially the united opposition. He can try every trick in the book. We will not be intimidated. And I think 2027 will be vindicated. And I am warning the government today, especially Mr. Kanja. Mr. Kanja, please read the working report, read the criminal report, read the ICC judgments, above all, read what the police commissioner in South Africa said during the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. He will be shocked because William Ruto will not be there to defend him in 2027. Right. DCI, please take care. The use of goons by the state today to intimidate us in 2027, the buck stops at the Inspector General of Police.
Okay.
And finally, allow me to say this. I have been a state commissioner myself. I know how security apparatus work. It is impossible in this country called Kenya for goons to be there, for goons to harass people, and no action is taken. We have adequate, able security apparatuses which can identify where somebody is. If we have his photo or a video, we can pinpoint even his mother's house, his grandmother's house, because the security apparatus in this country is highly, highly trained, especially the professional administration. If you tell the chief of Kisumu town, tell me who are those goons attacking James Orengo, he will tell you so-and-so, so-and-so's mother is this, so-and-so's father is this. We have an able security structure, but no action has been taken. Why? Because of deliberate laxity by the cabinet secretary and the permanent secretary.
Okay. Any suggestion of a repeat of what happened in 2007 is very scary for any Kenyan. This is exactly what the Kofi Annan Foundation report says, that there's a 84.1% chance of us going or experiencing electoral violence in 2027. Does that scare you?
And that is why it is now right to deal with the fathers of goons in this country. And my good friend here is trying to implicate, the goons belong to government. But the chief goon in this country, the father of goons, is one person, one Rigathi Gachagua, your friend. And I think you are creating a kingdom of goons. And you are
Mwalimu and Bwana Abdi, I can see you trying to assign some people the blame.
Yes, I'm assigning. You've asked me a question.
Because none of them has been arrested. None of them has been
You've asked me a
indicted for
question, and Fred, when you begin accusing government for deploying security, yet you remember IBC was almost contemplating postponing elections because of their goons. I think it was right. It is right for government to secure the voting in all the polling stations.
Well, allow me to cut you short. We'll be back to you. Allow me to cut you short so that you can listen to what these people of Ol Kalou are saying. Let's just listen in.
Sawa, ni shida iko hapa, mashini inaenda slow, tulikuja hapa 6 hadi saa hizi hatuje vote. Mtu mmoja anatake almost 30 minutes, tunaambiwa wa change hiyo mashini, hawataki kuchange, so we are wondering what is the problem. Yes.
Kwa hiyo hawajaelezea shida imetokea,
watuelezei, wanatuambia ati all will be well, so tunashindwa all will be well hadi saa ngapi? Yeah, so they need to do something. Yeah, we need some action to be done, kwa sababu mtu mmoja, watu wanakuja wanatuacha kwa hizi line zingine. Si tulikuja hapa 6, sasa ni saa 1 na we have not voted. Mimi nilikuwa like mtu wa kitu 20 bado 1 hour watu 20. Hebu imagine watu wote watavote saa ngapi? Yeah.
Ungependa kuambia nini IBC?
Ningependa kuambia IBC they need to listen to the voters. So kama hizo mashini ziko na shida, they need to change them. Yeah, so pledge yetu ni wa change mashini, walete mashini maybe yenye ita respond haraka juu tunaona hizi lines zingine zinasonga. Yeah, leto isonge. Yeah.
All right, some of the complaints there by potential voters. For voters already on the queues in one of the polling centers where Laban Muhinda is, and I think that's Ol Kalou Comprehensive School. And it's just one of the queues because so many different polling stations within that polling center are able to vote. But here, at least a few voters are complaining that the machine is taking too long. At least one voter says that each person takes an average about 30 minutes to cast their ballot. I do not know if that's truth or how long a voter should take. Yeah, but nonetheless, the process continues without much of a hitch, and we'll be getting more updates like those as we continue. Bwana Sosion, back to you. And I remember my question, sorry to cut you short. Are you concerned about this report by the Kofi Annan Foundation?
That is what I'm saying. The fathers of goons must be dealt with.
Why hasn't he been dealt with till now?
Effectively using the law. And the CS Interior has been very clear.
He's been issuing threats. He's not been arrested.
Has been misread by the patrons of goons because they know eventually the long arm of the law will close on them.
How long?
And that is why deploying security to Ol Kalou is to ensure that the process is secure. That the voters are not interfered with, the voting goes on peacefully, and Ol Kalou is free from any form of violence. taxpayers of Kenya pay our security forces and the National Police Service to secure all their activities. And for the knowledge of those goons who are still existing around the country, the security agencies of this country is not going to condone anymore this culture of violence, because we are a democracy that has struggled over the years, and we've got the best credential in terms of advancing our democratic activities in a civilized manner, in a peaceful way. We want to get to days where a polling day is a day of peace, that people even can go to work, people can vote.
Well, you already appear to have identified the problem, that it's this one individual who's a problem, and you seem to agree with the CS in charge of Interior and in charge of all security apparatus that this is a problem. How come no action has been taken so far?
The criminal justice system must deal with all these perpetrators of violence through quote-unquote goons across the country. Our concern and at all times.
Allow me to interject.
As a run-up to the next election,
any further delays in dealing with the perpetrators of this, hence the report says that we are heading closer.
That's why I agree with you. Those reports are serious reports, and nobody should ignore those reports, and nobody should ignore such warnings. It cannot be that the people of Kalou fight during campaign period and some lose life, and voting will close today, somebody will be elected and will go to parliament, and the process ends when lives have been lost. Either people injured, we lose property, or we lose lives. That is only an activity that can happen in the wild, in the animal kingdom. It cannot happen in a civilized democratic Kenya of today. That one should not be allowed by any standard. And I think
you've seen the trend.
When you see the CS Interior, Murkomen, talking about it every now and again, and those are facts that have come out, that everywhere in the country, the menace is the goons, patronized by some politicians, and effectively promoted. And we are trying to blame government, which is wrong. It is wrong for the engineers, fathers, sponsors of good to try and blame government.
Our concern
and I
is
think this will have to be dealt with.
We're easy to lay blame. We're easy to name people and accuse them and allege things against them, but we are not taking any action. Who else will take action against a potential perpetrator of this violence, if not the CS for Interior? Should he be complaining the same way as us? Violence has been reported even in places like Keumbu and Kisumu. Can we blame all that on one person?
Fred, we shouldn't. And in fact, it is not logical. It is a dishonor to the people of Kenya, because you are in office to be able to exercise your duty, and especially now in this manner we are talking about security. The CS has all that he needs. In fact, he has all the artifacts. He has every kind of opportunity to arrest all these menace that we are seeing in our country, whether it is politicians, whether it is whoever, regardless of whoever is doing this. And I'm glad that the media is not in any part of this process. Remember that we have stakeholders who actually went to the ICC, and the media was one of those. The IG of police former went to the ICC. We had politicians, very high-level political players, who went to the ICC. These processes must send us certain shivers, particularly around lessons to learn. And Mheshimiwa Kipchumba Murkomen is a fair man, is a very respectable leader in this country. He must come out to be able to arrest these issues that we are seeing. Of course, I am uncomfortable with Abdi talking about PS Raymond, and that leaders from Nyanza have disowned him, said this. I am also from Nyanza, and I think that the PS is doing a proper job with regards to what is expected of him. The challenge is the political class. Can we be able to see them organizing together, even go to parliament and summon some of these leaders and say, also call each other among yourselves to order and give Kenyans a proper environment.
Thank you for that. And even as we continue the conversation, let's now get this update from Laban Muhinda, our reporter on the ground, as voters continue complaining. Some voters continue complaining of delays. They've been on the queue longer than they feel they should have. Laban, good morning once again. What are these complaints about?
Indimuli, shukran sana. Huku katika shule hii ya Kalou Comprehensive shughuli zinaendelea, lakini kumekuwa na matatizo hapa kule. Tunaona kuwa baadhi ya wapiga kura wamesimama katika foleni kwa zaidi ya lisali moja. Na ikumbuke kuna yule mama ambaye tulikuwa tumemfanyia mahojiano zaidi ya lisali moja iliyopita, na bado namuona yuko kwenye foleni, na ningependa tu kusikia kutoka kwake yeye mwenyewe atueleze ni kwa nini mpaka kufikia sasa bado yuko kwenye foleni. Karibu sana mama, tueleze, tulikuwa na wewe zaidi ya saa moja iliyopita ukiwa kwenye foleni, tunaona bado ungali uko kwenye foleni. Shida iko wapi?
Shida hatujui inaendelea aje kwa police station kwa stream yenye tuko hakuna line inasonga, tunashindwa ni nini inaendelea huku ndani.
Mumejaribu kuuliza wale maagenti wa IEBC kuhusiana na shughuli ambayo inaendelea huku ndani, kwa sababu umesimama hapa kwa muda mrefu sana?
Nimesimama kwa muda mrefu na tumejaribu kuuliza, wanatuambia ni vidole zetu ziko na shida. Ndio tunagoja tuone ni nini, lakini hii stream ID zinakataa. Tunataka kujua ni nini inaendelea juu tumekaa kwa muda.
Na wale maagenti wanasema wanashughulikia swala ili waweze kutatua, ama sababu gani ambayo wanawapa?
Wanatuambia wanashughulikia ndio tuone ni nini inaendelea, lakini tumeona watu mmoja ameanza kumove.
Kwa hivyo una imani kuwa saizi line itasonga?
Line itasonga na tutasubiri.
Indimuli, hayo tu ni malalamisho ya mpiga kura mmoja ambaye amekuwa kwenye foleni kwa zaidi ya saa moja, akisema kuwa ile Kimskit imeweza kukataa. Inasema kuwa baadhi ya wapiga kura vidole vyao havisomi, wengine wanasema kuwa hata wakitumia nambari za usajili ya ID zao pia imekataa kusoma. Hivyo wanasema kuwa tu watazidi kusubiri, na wakiomba kuwa IEBC iweze kushughulikia ile mitambo yake na kuhakikisha kuwa shughuli ya upiga kura haiwezi kutatizika. Kwako Indimuli.
Asante sana Laban Muhinda akiwa pale Kalou Comprehensive School. Ni baadhi tu ya vituo vya upigaji kura pale Kalou, na kuna foleni moja miongoni mwa foleni nyingi ambapo wapiga kura wanasema wamekaa kwenye foleni kwa muda mrefu zaidi. Remember that the IEBC is using the biometric voter identification, and that's the issue. Probably it's taking too long. But this is a farming community, and sometimes the biometrics may fail because people who do manual labor may have problems with their biometrics. Do you see this as being a big problem, Bwana Osido?
Of course, that's going to be a big problem, and I agree with Laban and the lady there. I was actually wondering, because we keep seeing her on the screen, and she was among the first people who even said, we have allowed wengine wenye wanaenda kazi kuingia. But I'm sure that the IEBC is prepared to deal with this, and because I remember in one of the briefing sessions, I think it was yesterday, one of the commissioners, Madam Anderitu, indicated that they have plans to even use other means like alphanumerics, so that in the event that the BVR and the kits there fail, then voters should not be disenfranchised. The only concern, Fred, is the length of time that a voter is taking, because one of the gentlemen there indicated 30 minutes. That's such a long time for people who, I'm sure, as you look at the queue, the political heat, the tension, I'm sure some of them are even saying, twende tupige kura kabla wale vigugu vya kisiasa. You see, Mheshimiwa Malala was there. He said by 10, one of the leaders the candidate is coming to vote, maybe by 8. And you see, they normally organize convoys that come with big people and, big crowds, etc. Maybe some of them are saying, let's go and cast our votes before these noisemakers, quote unquote, come, so that we are safe. And so it is important that IEBC rushes to be able to deal with some of these concerns, because two things will happen. One, either there's going to be disquiet, so that people begin to get worried. Some people will walk away, and that might probably affect the turnout. Having observed elections in the past, a voter, basically the maximum number of time you can vote is 3 to 6 minutes. And within 3 to 6 minutes, you should have received your papers, done your checking in terms of whether you are a valid voter or not, and really have cast. And that is for a national election where you have 6 ballots. For a by-election where you only have one ballot for a member of Parliament National Assembly, I don't think that should be a big concern. And so 30 minutes, I think IBC must move very fast to deal with that kind of an issue.
We now have a caller with us, Ikua Wambote, who's an official of the DCP. Ikua, good morning. I'm informed that you are in Ol Kalou. What update can you give us, probably with regard to this, the time every voter is using on the queue and in the voting process?
Well, thank you so much, Fred, and I hope I'm quite audible from the other side.
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
We started voting quite early. Many polling stations have no problem that have been indicated in our Kalou town because basically what is happening is that the Kim's kit sometimes is taking longer to identify the voter. And I've had you, correctly put it that we as the people of our Kalou are farmers. And biometrics often have quite a lot of problems, being identified by the kit because our thumbprints have been interfered with by the farming activities. So most of these people are able to move on if you cannot be identified. I think they're using the ID, and at the same time they're also using the numerics to be able to identify. But we are quite concerned because it is selective. In most polling stations things are moving on, the queues are moving on, but in those ones that have huge numbers, it seems to be, not, I won't, conclusively say so, but why is it that the delays are in those polling centers and polling stations that, have huge numbers of voters? We've had experiences in the past, especially in by-elections like in Bere, where those kind of polling stations had delays right from morning, which eventually ends up, taking it to the dark when it comes to the closing and turning the polling stations to a turning center. So people are ready to be able to vote, and you cannot be able to lock people out. So by 5 o'clock, you still have people in the queue, which means your turning is going to be dragged down into the dark. And you know what happened in Bere, where goons raided, polling stations, and they ended up burning papers and doing whatever they wanted to do. So we are still observing and looking at, the occurrences and taking note quite closely.
Do you feel like the electorate is being discouraged by some of these delays? There are instances where voters would potentially be casting their ballots are going back home without doing so?
Absolutely. There's a lot of tension around here, Fred, that I can tell you it started last night. We had parts of Ol Kalou where people, villagers were being harassed by police at night yesterday. But there were some occurrences during the day where the government had tried to take some, some donations or whatever we may call it. But, in the correct terms, is some bribes. You've taken rice, you're taking beans, you're taking giveaways, at the eve of an election. That translates directly into voter bribery. So some of the members, within Ol Kalou, the voters, refused to take it. And they ended up colliding with the chiefs and the people who had come to deliver them. So they ended up having some operations at night where people are being beaten up by homes because chiefs knows you by name. And they know the kind of commotion that was there during the day. So there is a very high tension because there are also very many vehicles, unmarked vehicles without number plates. Police presence here is something that we've never seen before. One road between, a place called Kiongo all the way to Ol Kalou has more than 14 roadblocks. So you wonder, what are these roadblocks for? So there is a lot of tension. Okay. And I agree that this delay is definitely raising the adrenaline of these people in regards to they would want to vote early and go back home and probably run away. There are, information and that there are a lot of, foreigners and goons that have been ferried into these places, some of whom have been identified. So people would really want to get out of that polling stations as fast as possible. So this delay would eventually, in a way, suppress voting because someone might be, be impatient or develop impatient and, and leave the polling station, yes. Which we as a party believe is the intention. I've had Sosion, because I've been listening to you, I've had Wilson Sosion there say that the owner of the goons is none other than our party leader. You cannot rely on a Monday, on a Thursday morning, on a national television. Well, how many goons does he have? We've been seeing people who are supporters of government moving around with goons. We've been seeing goons armed with rungus and everything moving around in company of police here They are with police. How can somebody associated and affiliated with Rigathi Gachagua even go anywhere near the police?
Okay,
the police are state-owned. So it
Okay.
is impossible. And you cannot even purport to tell us here that we have guns. We can't even have guns. We have the people of Olokarau. Our
Okay.
hope, is the people of Olokarau are going to be able to defend, their rights.
Bwana, your party leader talked about probably plans to cause voter suppression in Ol Kalou. With the turnout you've seen so far, would you say that is true, that there's a low voter turnout?
There has been a lot of effort, to try and do voter suppression. Every time you try and create, this big fear of, police presence, when you try and create this, that like there is a crisis coming, visual, this is visual, intimidation, where police, presence is everywhere. I can say from what I'm seeing right now is that people have high determination to be able to participate in this particular by-election. As much as we may not attain the highest ever, or we've been able to attain before, I believe that there will be not, it's from my estimate, not anything between 60 and 75% voter turnout will be achieved, according to the numbers that we are seeing currently within the various polling stations. I've been able to visit a couple of them, and I can tell you hundreds of voters have already come out.
All right. Any estimation of 60 to 75% voter turnout in a by-election is very impressive. Asante sana Bwana Ikua, will be coming back to you for more updates later on.
Fred, this is because, in Nyandarua before, we've had even as high as 85 to 90% voter turnout. Nyandarua people, in terms of coming out to vote, this is a different breed of people. And I think you need to check that from your statistics. You will find that in central Kenya, we've always been the highest voter turnout county. So in Ol Kalou, we can see that clearly by the numbers we are seeing right now, despite the efforts to suppress. But we hope that people will continue coming out to vote and vote for their candidates.
All right. Asante sana Bwana Ikua Mbote, DCP official who's currently observing the process of voting in Ol Kalou. Bwana Abdi Nur, there are even claims that there are people buying IDs through voter bribery, and therefore we will not see enough voters on the queues. That does not seem to be the case. Do you agree that some of these claims made prior to voting day were just simply outrageous?
No. I was in Ol Kalou for 7 days. There were so many attempts at buying IDs. But the people of Ol Kalou, the good thing is they are exposed, they're good patriotic Kenyans, and they resisted any attempt by government. But Fred, allow me to, with a lot of due respect, to educate on security matters, that is, Mwalimu, Honorable Sosyon. I know he did not have the privilege of serving in the security sector of this country. I have served in the national administration for about close to 20 years. I hold a master's degree in security from the best institutions in this world. I will tell you one thing. Number one, Max Weber, or Weber, tells us that a state is the owner of legitimate violence. If the government does not have a monopoly of legitimate violence, that state or that government does not need to exist. Number one, if William Ruto's team, Addis Murkomen and PS Raymond Omolo, do not have or possess the monopoly of legitimate violence, they should not be in office. Then we are a failed state, or we are heading to a failed state, if we do not have monopoly of legitimate violence. Let me educate Mr. Sosyon again on something called two things. In security matters, you need to know two things if you want to understand what's happening today. One, there's something called the intelligence cycle. And security and intelligence committees, either in the district or sub-county nowadays, or in the regional level, or the national level. In the intelligence cycle, it is nearly impossible in this country for goons to invade or come to a place without the knowledge of government. Why? The government of Kenya is at the lowest, at the village. They're there, and they know what's happening or what's about to happen. If goons have come somewhere to, let's say, Ol Kalou, and the district commissioner is not aware, or the chief is not aware, or the OCPD is not aware, if Fred, you are told, like someone tells you that, tell him or her that she or he is lying. We have adequate security intelligence apparatuses because we have a functioning system called the security committees. If DStv is in charge of these goons, why not arrest us then? Then, Mr. Sosion, you have 4 warning systems in this country in form of security intelligence committees. Were they not aware of all what's happening in this country? Then, if they were, it seems they were not aware because they have not made any arrest. If they're not aware, then that's abdication of duties. And the cabinet secretary, who is so much engaged, unfortunately, according to Rift Valley politicians and Rift Valley pundits, so much engaged in wanting to emerge as the next political kingpin in Rift Valley, instead of addressing our security matters, that's a problem. Mr. Sosion Mwalimu, please be aware that we have adequate security and intelligence committees, and now they are functioning. I am sure one day, when these files, the reports from the district commissioners, or the sub-county administrators, or the regional people are declassified, we will have adequate warning systems they have written. They will be vindicated. The problem is the top is sinking and it's rotting. They relay reports and tell the government this is about to happen or this is happening. But the problem is the top is the president telling them, look, these are our officers. What was happening in Nairobi? Goons were being escorted by police officers in broad daylight. TV47 has covered, all our TVs have covered. Therefore, in this era of today, of AI, telling us that you don't know goons is hogwash.
Okay. Bwana Sosion.
You know that this time...
We appreciate the information. We appreciate the eye-opening information.
I don't need to be taught because I'm a master teacher myself. And, it will take me 10 minutes to master content of a new area of study, including security. So it's something that we've known over the years. And the fact is, you don't need to like here. In philosophy, there is something that is called ideas formalized in the mind of an individual. And it is actualized by that individual by acting or directing other people to do it. So our youth that have been converted into tools of violence across the country in the names of goons do not act on their own. There are sponsors and there are individuals. And so the monopoly of violence is not contained in the boys that we see who engage in violence. The monopoly of violence is formalized in the mind of an individual. There must be a leader. And when you look at their party leader, the way he has operated over the years.
He was talking about the monopoly of legitimate violence.
Yes,
violence. It's not in the mind.
Yes, and let me talk about whether call it legitimate or illegitimate, it is violence. Because you can approach democracy in a democratic means, or you can approach democracy in a violent way. And because he has wanted to try and paint it on government and push it on the government side, which I dispute very strongly. If you look at their party leader, the way he talks, the way he does things, look at the records.
He has asked you a very legitimate question. He has asked you a legitimate question. Bwana Sosion.
And so, if we have to deal with violence, deal with individuals.
Yeah, and the question he was asking...
the CS administration I'm coming.
And the question he's asking is, how come you've not done it?
Let me come.
It's an issue of time here.
Let me come to that.
What is a state?
But he's questioning.
He's questioning legitimate violence.
Yes.
A state doesn't process that.
No.
What do you call it?
He has been condemning here the presence of police. The police is there to
No. Bwana Sosion, you're because for the sake of our audience, let's respond to some of what he has said. He has said from his experience as a security officer that the state has the ability because it holds a monopoly of legitimate violence. It has the ability to contain, to arrest, to counter all these risks.
And do you know what?
How come they haven't done it? That's the question.
And do you know what? When you look at when you look at the goon activities and goonism, for example, let's deal with the event that was in Nyahururu. It took the efforts of the police to come and disperse the warring crowds. And even when the police disperse the warring crowds, they are still accusing the police. You accuse the police when they act, and when the police don't intervene, you blame the police. I think that is speaking from both sides of the mouth.
Does the police work on public perception?
Let us now talk about police efforts and intervention measures by the police. The security has been deployed in large numbers to Kalou. Why is he condemning the presence of the security? Because that is meant to ward off any form of criminal, any criminal acts that would jeopardize the process of elections. You know, these guys are speaking from both sides of the mouth. And we've seen them moving around with goons, sponsoring goons. They're the ones who pay.
Our concern here,
they are the ones who pay.
Our concern here was the report by, and I think you agreed, the report by the Kofi Annan Foundation. You said it's a real risk. What we saw in Keumbu, what we saw in Kisumu, if we may use those examples for now, how come the police are reluctant to deal with that?
No, it's not a question of reluctance. The criminal justice system must up the game. Investigate, assemble evidence, arraign these individuals in courts, let them be criminalized, and they pay for it. We must be a country of law and order. So that then, if I want to propagate my ideas peacefully, I do it peacefully and go home.
And you agree that the security infrastructure in Kenya is able to do that?
The security infrastructure in Kenya must be supported, and it is them who are very busy condemning.
Are you saying that as it is right now, without their support, are you saying without their support, the police, the security infrastructures are able to work?
The security is not going to seek for permission from goons so that they can deal with goons.
So they are able to?
The CS Interior has spoken. There is a policy directive. Goons are being dealt with. How many goons? No, listen. How many goons were arrested in Nyahururu? A significant number, over 10. How many were arrested in Kisumu? Those who are carrying bows and arrows. 200. Quite a number of them. And I think we have a security infrastructure in the country that is able to do that. And with the warnings of those institutions that we are likely to slip into violence, I think they are living up to the expectation, and they will have to manage and engage in early detection of violence in all activities in the country, whether political or non-political, so that we deal with this forever. But then we are not going to create huge problems and transfer it to the police as a responsible citizenship.
I'll assure you that even failure to answer your question is an answer in itself. So don't worry about that. Let's go to Osido now. Osido, the police cannot definitely be waiting for public perception to handle some of these obvious criminal issues. Do you see an obvious reluctance to act in some of the cases we've seen?
Precisely. There is this worrying trend that is more or less painting our security apparatus as unable and incapable of responding to the kind of challenges that we are seeing. Yet, we know very well that the government has everything that it takes to be able to stop all this insecurity that we are seeing. The challenge, Fred, and what I have observed from meetings, some that I have attended, conversations, reports that different players are giving, there is probably a challenge in convening the opposition and government. And yet, I am a very strong believer in dialogue. Regardless of how adversarial your opponent may be or can be, this country has a very bad history of 2007 post-election violence. We cannot take Kenyans back there. So the government must do everything it takes, including coming up with mediators.
All right. Allow me to cut you short so that you can listen to Cleophas Malala addressing the issue of delays in voting.
Break
moment in this constituency, whereby initially there was some insinuation of police intimidation, but the people have gone against the grain and woken up in high spirit to come and vote. As you can see, we have all cadre of people coming in. We have the elderly, we have the middle-aged, we have the young people who have braved the morning dew just to come and demonstrate and exercise their democratic right. We have also seen that IBC were able to open up the polling stations in good time. All we want to urge our people is that the KIMS kit is a little bit slow, but just to urge IBC to make sure they rectify any technicalities that we are facing right now. But just to encourage our people of Kalou to stick to the line. However long it takes to be on that line, kindly do it for Kenyans. Because these are moments whereby all Kenyans are going to witness how government has been pumping in resources against the law, against the code of conduct, electoral code of conduct. But I'm sure that the people of Kalou will disappoint them. We have had incidences last evening. We had some incidents whereby plain police officers were attacked a village, but we were able to calm that down and to report that everything is okay, save of vehicles, government vehicles moving around without number plates. We have asked our people that we will not allow any government vehicle or any vehicle whatsoever to move around without identification. The same applies to the police officers who have been deployed here today. We want all the police officers to be accountable of their actions, and therefore we'll be demanding that all police officers must ensure that they display their force number to the citizenry of Kalou. Otherwise, I want to say that from the pulse, the electoral pulse, I can confidently say that DCP is the party to watch. Of course, with a little bit attempt of competition from Jubilee Party, and then the rest can follow. Yeah. Mimi naona so far so good. Tuna tatizo lolote. Ni kuhimiza tu kwamba wale polisi waeze kujitambulisha. Sababu tumeona kuna polisi wengine ambao wanatembea bila vitambulisho zao na bila uniform. Tungependa wavalie zile gwanda za polisi kwa sababu hatutaki kuona, hatujui kutofautisha kati ya polisi na gun. So tunataka tafadhali polisi wote make sure you identify yourself. Hatujakuwa na fujo yoyote. Jana jioni kidogo tu ndio kuna watu walijaribu kwenda pale kwa kijiji fulani ambapo chief alikuwa anagawa mchele na maragwe. Wakaweza kuleta fujo sana kule, lakini watu wetu waliweza kuhakikisha kwamba fujo hiyo imekuwa calm down, na watu wa Kalou ni watu wa amani. Tuko na uhakika tunaenda kuibuka washindi, na kusema tu kwamba hii itakuwa funzo kwa hii serikali ya kiimla.
Kuna mama mmoja amekaa kwenye line zaidi ya saa moja anasema
ni ukweli tumeangalia katika polling stations za kadha na sio zote. Utapata kwamba hiyo KIMS kit inaenda polepole, sio kwa sababu ya system yangu, kwa sababu ya vidole za wamama wazee kidogo zinachukua muda kidogo kupata hiyo fingerprint. Lakini tumeongea na IBC, they'll be able to even provide a special KIMS kit for the elderly so that they do not line up for a very long time. Tungependa kuhimiza wamama wetu wazee, vijana, hata ikichukua muda gani, tafadhalini msichoke. Msimame kwenye foleni, muhakikishe kwamba tumeweza piga kura jinsi vile katiba inasema. Asante. Thank you.
Right, the DCP Deputy Party Leader Cleophas Malala speaking live from one of the polling stations and seemingly appearing to reassure voters that they will get to vote despite some of the delays occasioned by failure by the biometric voter identification equipment to expedite the exercise. As we said earlier, it is a farming community, and some of the people who've been working manually using their hands may be having trouble using the same fingerprints for identification. But the IBC has other methods to identify voters and allow them to cast their ballots. So a bit of reassurance there that everything is okay. Bonosido, I cut you short.
Yes.
I hope I didn't interfere with your train of thought.
No, I still have it, the grasp of it. So the challenge, therefore, is in having conversations with the cross partners, where you have individuals who believe that part of the solution we have are the main sponsors, quote unquote, of the goons. So in this case, for example, that the PS for Interior is being accused or is being blamed for inability to engage because there are people who think that he is a main player in sponsorship or etc. But you see, Fred, these are conversations, in my view, including even the CS coming out in public rallies, and saying in funerals and every other area and saying, where we're so and so, we know that you're the sponsor. I do not think that that is how we are going to solve this issue. The government has what it takes to be able to bring these warring factions, in brackets, together to sit and say, we have one country. Regardless of where you stand and how you look at these things, can we have a conversation? And we have seen these processes. As Kevin Osido have been part of what is called the Multi-Stakeholder Dialogue Forum that is led by the religious leaders, especially within electoral processes, like now where we are right now, where even warring factions have been brought together to sit and say, may I hold this against you because you told so and so to say this against me and you've never called me to clarify. Why were you sending the person? So you see, when you provide an opportunity where individuals feel safe, secure, and they're able to open up, it becomes easy for them to begin to provide solutions. So I do not still believe that Mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua and PS Raymond and CS Kipchumba Murkomen and any other players, including His Excellency the President, should be throwing tantrums at each other. Look at this scenario where we had the President and his former Deputy President throwing barbs at each other on live television. Where did that story go to? They were called to order. There are people in this country who mean so well for Kenya. And I want to call upon the leadership to be willing to engage, and even the opposition to be also willing to engage. That way, we provide political goodwill for institutions, because there are people in the police service or in some of these, even at the judiciary, who might probably see papers, names of people in papers, and they get scared. Not to say that they're afraid to engage, but the manner in which we politicize everything, where we name call and we threaten people, including even their children, I think that that is the opportunity that we have lost as a country. What in the World Cup right now is called a hydration break. We do not have that opportunity.
It slows you down.
Yeah, to slow down and say, can we hold this thing here and have a discussion around what is happening? Because if we fail to do it right now, Fred, 2027 is just a Christmas party.
And it will be exactly 20 years since the unfortunate events of 2007. But formed even as we proceed with that line of discussion, it's time for us to take a break. It is exactly 8 a.m. Polling in Ol Kalou has been going on for the last 2 hours. So far, no complaints apart from a bit of anxiety over the time it takes for some of the voters to get identified. Let's take a short break. We'll be coming back to continue this special coverage of the by-elections in Ol Kalou.
Ndio hiyo. Mpatie.
Unajua kama una mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho ya kesho ya tomorrow.
Hiyo time. Mzee ni budi mchoka.
Ni budi ni madeni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV 47. Sundays at 8:30 p.m.
Good morning.
You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, nauza hii simu yako.
Hamna pesa. I need 3 G's to make my nails today.
Sasa hivi natuhusu aje?
Can I order now? Do you ship? Can I get blinking ones?
Mimi nilikuwa na trade. Nimewekelea kitele yangu. Kitele yangu na trade. Ikikunywa maji.
Oh my God. You left me. Nitumie ni line.
Uko nje kuna wifi.
Why? Hi-Fi?
Wait, so what do we call this dish again?
I have no idea.
The cucumbers are there specifically for my beauty routine.
Tangulini kero umeka kwa beauty product.
Na ameenda.
Tunafaa tukuwe na logo yetu. Like, si ni brand already.
You won't entertain divas. No. I'm not dealing with a man child.
Amazing. Nishapenda hii energy.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on TV 47. Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
My father used to tell me that our hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on TV 47. Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. This is a very serious place.
I see that. Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair.
It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system. Ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have
from the polling stations in all Kalou. These are the pictures on your screens right now. Voting has been going on for the last 2 hours, 5 minutes. Polling started at exactly 6 a.m. this morning. That's when the polling stations opened. So far, it has been a smooth sailing, apart from a few concerns about the time it takes to identify. Some of the voters were having some challenges with their biometrics, but the IEBC says they will be able to handle them as well. So this is our special coverage of the All Kalou by-elections, much anticipated, very highly contested, high-octane politics prior to this. Today a bit of calm because the campaigns ended 2 days ago. I am still in studio with Abdinur Mohammed, who's the chairperson, Inter-Counties Coordinating Committee of the DCP, also with veteran teacher and educationist Wilson Sosiono, also a former MP, and Kevin Osido, governance specialist and executive director, County Governance Watch, just helping us with this conversation about the processes that we're witnessing today and in relation to what we will witness next year. The biggest concern has been this Kofi Annan Foundation report about what we are seeing today and what it portends for the next general election. And I'll come back to you, Bwana Abdinur. What happened in 2007 was very unfortunate. It is 20 years later. In between there have been attempts at remedies to ensure that those events do not happen again, including the promulgation of the Constitution, including establishment of Chapter 15 commissions, which are independent, and to ensure that these pictures of those events will never be witnessed again. But now we are at a real risk that we might just witness those things that we hoped we would never see again next year. What went wrong with such a progressive constitution and all the remedies that we put in place?
True. 20 years after 2027. In 2027, 2007, sorry, we thought we learned a lot. We introduced a progressive constitution, which I believe is one of the best in the world. We came up with institutions. We professionalized the police, separated the National Intelligence Service and all these things from mainstream policing, and came up with so many independent institutions. Unfortunately, there is credible research now. I think for the last 10 years, that research is either by with Oxford and Cambridge together. They say that this idea of institutions is a farce. Institution building, because institutions are as good as the people occupying them. It is nearly very hard to compare Commissioner of Police General Ali with IG Kanja, for example, or another, or Kimayo or something. It's nearly hard to compare Ahmed Isaac Hassan with Ethicon, for example. And Fred, our police officers, and this is from my experience, are sent to UN peacekeeping missions, either in Haiti or Kosovo or in Namibia or Somalia. The United Nations conducts examinations, and you can imagine how tough those examinations are. And I can tell you without an iota of doubt, in every examination conducted by the United Nations, in which Kenyans participated, Kenyans police officers have emerged the best. Ask what's happened in Kosovo, Bosnia, Somalia, any other place. If you take the officer commanding police station today, a junior, relatively junior officer in Pangani, to go and police Mogadishu, and he takes an exam by the United Nations, he will be number one. Why is it that when they come back here, there's a problem? Because the problem is coming from the top. We have the finest officers. I have not said anything bad about the police officers. I worked with them. I'm a proud security officer. We have the finest police officers in the world, or in Africa, let me say. Highest educated, very highly educated. And let me tell you this for free. We have a system called the National Administration, which chairs the security committees. It has been voted the highest educated civil service cadre in the black world. The district commissioners you see here today, the regional commissioners, all these, the district officers, or excuse me, when I was the sub-county commissioner or something. I don't like that name, but that's the new name. That is the highest educated civil service cadre in the world. When you have fine police officers, highly trained, you have a highly educated national administration, where are we? Where is the rain beating us?
Yes.
The rain is beating us at the policy level. You know, academically and professionally, it is agreed. It has become an axiom that there's nothing called intelligence failure. Intelligence, whether it is 9/11 in the US, whether it is Westgate or everywhere, there's nothing called intelligence failure in the security field. Intelligence was there. The problem is execution. 207 cannot happen if we have goodwill, political goodwill from the top. Why? We have intelligence officers, we have security teams at the village level. Do you know, if anything happens outside here, TV 47, Mr. Sosion, I want to tell you for free, it will take 5 minutes for William Ruto to know what's happening. If an incident happens in Kibish, the farthest end, or a BP1 in Mandera, it will take not more than 5 minutes for William Ruto to know in this area. The chief texts his district officer. The district officer texts, briefs his DC, forward. That will take about 5 minutes. I've been a DC, ask me. It is nearly impossible to aver or to opine that these goons are not for the state. Because they can see, you can see from here on live TV what they're doing. And of late, because of the security, because of advancement in technology, it's, the chief even can zoom live what's happening to his boss. And TV47 is also showing it. Other stations are showing it. Why is it that there is this problem? Because we have a Milli Vanilli of a cabinet secretary.
Wow. Buena Asunción.
You know,
and the question is this. The question I ask because I want you to have the same theme. It is what went wrong. 2007, we've done so much. Then 20 years later, Kofi Annan Foundation report says we have an 84.1% chance of violence again. What went wrong?
Before I answer that, allow me, it's fair, to report on some accusations where you accuse the government that the goons belong to government. And as an expert in the security area and national administration, it is very wrong to apportion blame to the government and to promote circumstances that can destroy the country. It's good when we get factual. If 10 goons were arrested in Nyahururu, can government arrest its own personnel? Goons do not belong to the government of Kenya, and they will never be. And we all know, even a nursery school child in Kenya knows that these goons have been created through political circumstances by their sponsors, which is not the government. And our security forces have worked very well outside elsewhere. And the same security forces, when they get to the country, we drum a lot of noise condemning them instead of supporting them to do their work. That is where we get it wrong. We look at the security forces as enemies of the people. We look at them as aliens. We look at the police as enemy of everyone. Look at their forums, and even sending uniformed personnel to Olkalau, they are complaining about it. I think that is not right. Let us not have double standards, particularly when you have experience in administration and security. And we see some of those who have experience in security and administrations are the ones who are building these people. And that's where this report comes in. And
but what went wrong with the police? There's been so much police reforms.
I will now going to answer. I'm going to answer you on that. This country will not degenerate into chaos. And we cannot walk into 2027 when criminals are abound and they look absolutely ready to mess up the country in the run-up to the election. It is not going to work. And the security agencies, when you see the Minister for Interior, he has spoken several times and given policy direction. And as a country, we've got a national police service that is sophisticated, that is equipped, and security infrastructure of the country that is sound and strong. And goons wherever they will be. No, listen, just allow me, Fred. Goons wherever they will be. Goons wherever they will be, particularly the sponsors of goons, they will be called out. We've seen CS Interior call out Rigathi Gachagua so strongly as the king of goons in this country. They will bear personal responsibility without exception. It doesn't matter your status in a political party, in the country, in the political space, in all spaces. They must be dealt with. And while getting into 2027, two things should happen. One, IEBC should activate its regulation, punish disqualify and deal with individuals who violate the electoral conduct and commit electoral offences. That is one.
It is 16
Two,
years.
Listen, I'm making my statement.
Yes.
I'm making my statement. What should happen?
We are talking about what should happen.
Should happen?
Me, I'm asking the question,
because
what happened with all these things that we fixed?
It has been fixed and it is working. And I don't think... when
if it was working, we would not have this
that's
report,
a projection. It has not happened. It's a warning. It's a warning
the
from
84%.
It's a warning from analysts and from analysts. It's a warning from analysts.
That
it does not mean it has not happened. But I'm now proposing what should be done so that it doesn't happen. Enforce the electoral code of conduct strictly. The regulations and electoral offences, they must be punished, criminalize all manner of electoral offences and utterances that promote violence. To enforce the, of course,
IEBC. You're talking about IEBC, the one.
You know, the people who frustrate enforcement of laws. We have a country with very good laws.
You just talked about the IEBC and what it should do. This is 1 year to elections. It is running a by-election right now.
And two,
are they there yet?
And two, yes. They were there. We saw how many people are punished by IEBC.
The IEBC chairperson wanted to postpone this election.
We've seen two punishments from Olkalau, and let us not sweep it under the carpet. Wanjiku Muya was fined for making statements, and then Gikaria was also fined. That is action, and we've seen those two move to court, and the court has set aside that fine. Now, the most critical institution that should help success of criminalization and punishment is the judiciary. The judiciary must support IEBC and actions by IEBC against individuals. You know, this country will be saved by the judicial process, by the IEBC, and by the electoral process. But then, very lastly, thirdly, above all, Kenyans must act responsibly in electoral processes.
If we must not acted responsibly for the last 20 years.
If you look at Olkalau,
are we going to change in the next 1 year?
If you look at it, Fred, we are now hyping Olkalau and talking a lot. The only thing that is happening today in Olkalau is the people of Olkalau going to the ballot, voting, and counting will be done at the end of the day, and the story will be closed. Tuesday next week, whoever will have been declared today and gazetted by IEBC will be sworn in and admitted by all members of parliament, and people life will go on.
Yes.
So we don't need to promote violence around election and around democratic practices. We must condemn, and we don't need to give the police unnecessary harm.
We're trying to question Bwana Osido, the kind of actions we put in place, that 20 years later it would appear they're not working or they never worked. Now it is a year to the next election. What new remedy will we come up with?
Fred, I am a very strong believer in mediation and negotiation. And I want to propose continually that our political leaders be willing, despite the different difficult environments that we operate in, be willing to sit and talk to each other. Where I go to, my Reverend Chomba normally says that regardless of what happens, be willing to come down and engage somebody else, because that is the only way we are going to save this country. Now, that's easy to say, but the technical nitty-gritty is very difficult, which is the question that Mheshimiwa Sosion is trying to run away from. Remember that even this infrastructure we are calling the National Police Service has a transition. That transition, in my view, is a very difficult one, because it appears as if every president that is elected comes with their own IG. Abdi was talking about Mheshimiwa Kimaio, Mheshimiwa Major General Ali, etc. But this is the past. How do we work with that transition, the infrastructure of the office, so that we take it away from the person and strengthen the office?
Isn't that what Chapter 15 of the Constitution is all about?
That is what the independent commissions are supposed to be helping us do, because that is Chapter 15 of this Constitution that we have here. But the problem is a politicization. I remember when President William Ruto, because I was very close to State House that day, when he was putting together his first cabinet, and the kind of thought confusion that almost erupted when he wanted to mention his IG.
Yes.
And you see, he was waiting for a name which was not, was it? No, it was the IG of police, because we have an IG who has since resigned from office. That is the gentleman I'm talking about. And he was waiting for a name which was not seemingly coming, you know, and was like, I thought something was going on with the IG, you know. And then ultimately later in the evening, he made the announcement. But how do we transition, Fred, from a former IG, Inspector General of Police, to a new one in the midst of an election, because we are also transiting the presidency? Move it further even to the Vitukwa ground. How do we recruit our police officers? Sometimes when we go to the counties, the youth tell us, mi hata niliqualify kwenda polisi, lakini sikuwa na pesa na sikuwa najua mtu. You see, marafiki wangu wenye walikuwa wanajua watu, kuna kitu walikuwa wanapewa, sijui is a small piece of paper, which if you have, you get recruited. Fred, it doesn't have to get there. Because when we now begin to box our institutions, where who you know is what you get and is how you get employed, then the integrity of the institution is flooded. So that right now what we are seemingly seeing is that even the police who are being sent, and we are calling them police officers in plain clothes, you know, why should that happen? And I've heard politicians even in Kalou today saying, we want the police to show us their service numbers. It doesn't have to be, unless there is something seriously wrong and you're picking intelligence. A police officer in this kind of a scenario should not be concealed. Be in your uniform, let people know you're here. Sababu wako na bana hapa imeandikwa utumishi kwa wote. That thing is a very important statement. But when we want to make it look so difficult, even for citizens to identify a police officer, when you're being beaten in church, you can't run to anyone. Because the police is supposed to be the person who gives you solace, gives you safety and security. So the manner in which we do all these things, particularly the transition, Fred, in my view, is a very, very challenging context. The third thing, you are asking, police reforms, what happened to police reforms? We have made very strong strides as a country. However, if you look at the curriculum that the police go through, Kiganjo and many of this, and the political establishment has opened very many other institutions. We even have an academy right now, a university of the police, you know. We are making very good steps that are supposed to be helping us solve the problems. But these problems are not being received with both hands by the political class.
That's a question. Are we saying that our constitution is subject to the political leaders we elect, that they decide, okay, fine, chapter 15 no longer means anything, and we can capture all these commissions that are supposed to be independent and do anything as we may? As
it is right now, you are right, Fred, because we have a very strong law, we have very strong institutions. Even the people who work in these institutions are people who are qualified. They are proper. They are seated there because they are worth sitting there. But the space within which they are operating in, you know, is one that has been, in my view, seemingly captured, and that people are in some offices, they are working out of fear. The CS of Interior and the PS of Interior, I want to continue to propose. And because I know that the PS, Dr. Raymond, sits together with these co-PSs in what is called the whole of government, whole of society approach. They must expand this issue. And especially when it comes to an electoral process like this, it is the IEBC that asks for police support. If the IEBC said, we don't need police in Kalou, the CS will not send police, IG will not send the police. So there has to be an opportunity for them to sit together and agree on how we want to, you know, what efforts each of us are supposed to put in insofar as safeguarding the election 2027.
Thank you for that. And a quick update from Kalou. We can see there the UDA candidate for the by-election, Samuel Mushina Nyaga, present at one of the polling stations, ready to cast his ballot. I think his other colleagues, I think this is the first candidate we've seen appear at the polling station to cast his ballot. We are monitoring other polling stations because some of the candidates may not necessarily come to this same station. But Samuel Mushina Nyaga, initially they had indicated that he would be at the Huruma Primary School in Kaimbaga Ward at 7. It's past 8. It's almost 8:30. But finally has showed up. You have an indication that the other candidate for the DCP, according to Deputy Party Leader Cleophas Malala, he will be at the Kalou Comprehensive School at around 10 to cast his ballot as well. So that's the latest update. We said that when they show up, they probably disrupt some of the voting processes because probably they're given escort and they're given benefits to skip the queue. But I can see him just sometimes. Do you think, Bonosido, that the presence of the candidates at the polling station, even if for a few minutes, it disrupts a bit of the process?
Definitely it does. In fact, I'm a little bit concerned. Two things. Either the gentleman, Samuel, is very cordial, is very honorable, and based on, because you go to vote at a specific place, maybe they agreed that when you show up, you just walk in, go and do your thing. But you see, when you have very serious political support on the ground, that kind of a movement would not be the case. People would be ululating and celebrating, and and more or less making you feel like shaenda, like we've already captured this one. And I'm looking forward to seeing how Wanamushina has walked in, and as opposed to how the UDA, the DCP candidate, would also walk in where he's going to vote, because this is scary to me as on the other hand a political observer, because you expect that there's going to be certain rabble-rousing, there's going to be a lot of drama, people are going to be shaking, feeling you.
It's definitely generating some interest there.
That is what I'm seeing, from Samuel Mushina, who is apparently the candidate here.
I think even for the IEBC, they're keen to allow this person to vote and get away as fast as possible, not to disrupt the process. Abdi.
Yes, thank you. Fred, Mr. Sosion has continuously made some very serious allegations against my party leader. My party leader, Rigathi Gachagua, has never been accused of crimes against humanity by any institution.
Unlike been accused of crimes.
Unlike his party leader, whose case is still pending in the ICC because of lack of witnesses. Once a security officer, always a security officer. Rigathi Gachagua has been a security officer. He knows the merits and demerits and what happens in an insecurity situation.
And he was dismissed from that position.
He has never been dismissed.
He's on record.
A fuss.
He was
please allow me.
On record. He was
please.
That's a fact.
Your time will come.
Rigathi Gachagua is busy. I mean, William Ruto is busy watching, getting briefs from the ground. He is not watching, I think, TV today. Therefore, relax, and slept very well last night.
I think, Fred, that is
by
apportioning them in an orderly way.
Yes. So that's why I'm asking you to allow him to say bit will come.
Yeah, but I was informing him to check the communication that Gachagua received in 1997 of being dismissed from provincial administration because of stealing some donation famine relief made.
Yes, and
he's known. He has been.
Okay,
was a rogue.
He
was a rogue officer in the provincial
administration.
That's a fact.
A fictitious letter being distributed by my former party, UDA, will never make Rigathi Gachagua a thief.
Okay.
Rigathi Gachagua was not dismissed in 1997.
Okay.
He was working till with Uhuru Kenyatta. We know that's a personal stunt later in life.
Okay. So allow me just to give a comment here as we continue this. The gentleman in the white t-shirt and the green cape, that's Samuel Mushina Nyaga, who's just going through the processes there. He's just been handed the ballot paper. After being positively identified as a voter in that constituency, he's now proceeded to the voting booth. And I do not understand why the cameras are so close to someone who's about to vote, because the vote is a secret. He's already marked.
He has already marked.
He's marked his ballot. And yes, even the security team's concerned about the space that the media is occupying there. Definitely some disruption, as we said. That once any of the candidates show up, there's a lot of interest. And at least for the candidate, he's not trying to show who he's voting for. And he's folded the ballot and proceeded to cast it in the box.
You see, these are some of the lessons that we are hoping that the entire electoral infrastructure will be able to learn. So that IBC should be able to even bar the cameras.
Yes.
They should be able to put boundaries.
Yes.
So that if there is a door, allow for a window that becomes very easy for them to capture the photos as opposed to
without
walking
very
into.
close. Yes.
So
and
those are some lessons.
he has been marked with ink on his pinky finger so that he may not cast a ballot again in this election. And just like that, it's been how many minutes?
Yeah, that's less than 2 minutes.
Before, through the identification, positive identification, getting the ballot, marking it, and he's out within 3 minutes maximum. So yes, when people complain about staying in the queues for over 30 minutes, as each voter goes through, probably we understand them. You can see this is a huge turnout for a by-election, and people queuing, and probably once this candidate leaves, the process will continue undeterred. And that's the first candidate we've seen so far out of the 9 casting their ballots. That's Samuel Mushina Nyaga of the UDA party. We do anticipate that Sami Douglas Kamau of the DCP will be at a different polling station casting his ballot, according to Cleophas Malala, at around 10 a.m. And the other 7, we still hope to get updates from them as well. So back to you, Bwana.
Yes, Fred, hold on, Malim. By apportioning blame to my boss, you know, there's a phrase often used. There's a drunk man who lost his watch in a dark alley, but tries to look for it under a lamp post because there's more light there. Will you ever get that watch? Never, because the watch did not get lost under a lamp post. It got lost in a dark alley.
All right.
Mr. Sosyon.
You know, Fred.
It's like saying,
Allow him to finish.
Let me finish. Mr. Sosyon, we have institutions.
Okay, but Abdinur, allow us to listen in to this candidate who's just voted.
And I feel like we have done our best, and people have really listened to us, because we encourage everyone within our Kalou constituencies to come out today and to come out in large numbers so that they could direct their member of parliament who will serve them for the next 1 year. So I feel people are really, the turnout is really encouraging. Security, I feel today we have the security is well organized, kwa sababu ukiangalia utaona maafisa wa polisi, they're everywhere. They are manning our roads and our police stations. So I feel the security is quite well today. Na sijapata incidents yote isipokuwa an incident that happened yesterday, that one of my vehicle ambayo ilikuwa nasafirisha my agent ilikuwa pahali panaitwa Mugumo, ilienda ikachomwa na wahuni, but the situation ikakuwa controlled. Other than that incidents that happened yesterday night where my vehicle was burned, sijapata incidents zingine, but of course today's morning I have had some 2 other incidences whereby I have had some individuals wenye wanapeana pesa huku kwa polling station, and I'm calling the IBC to investigate the issue, because I have heard from my people ya kwamba kuna watu walikuwa kwa police station kadhaa ambao wanajaribu kuhonga wapiga kura katika police station zetu, but I believe IBC will take the action against those individuals who are trying to bribe our people so that we can have free and fair elections today. I encourage whoever is at home, please come out and come and exercise your voting right, kwa sababu kupiga kura ni haki ya kila mmoja wetu. Mimi ningewahimiza, ingawa ninaona ya kwamba wananchi wetu wamejitokeza vizuri, lakini pia tungetaka the turnout to be good. Maybe even if it's possible we have 100% voters turnout hapa kwetu constituency ya Kalou, ili wananchi waweze kuamua ni nani wangetaka akuwe mjumbe wao wa mwaka mmoja ambao umebaki.
Have you reported that matter, the case that you said?
I have just come from home. Ndio nimetoka nyumbani, and as you know, I'm a law abiding citizen. I'll take the necessary action. Kama ni kuripoti, nitaenda ni report so that action can be taken, kwa sababu sitaki kuiongea tu kwa mdomo. I want to take action. Even the last time that my banners were pulled down, I took the action and reported the matter to the police and the agencies that are concerned with the investigation, kwa sababu mimi ni mwananchi ambaye anapenda sana kufuata sheria, sio mambo tu ya kuongea.
Uko tayari kukubali matokeo?
I'm ready for the outcome because I know I'm winning. I'm ready for it.
What if you lose?
I'm ready. The people of Ol Kalou will talk at the ballot. Just wait in the evening. What the people decide is what we'll do for.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Fred.
The UDA candidate there for the Ol Kalou by-election, Samuel Mushina Nyaga, talking to the media only moments after casting his ballot at the Huruma Comprehensive Primary School in Ol Kalou, and he becomes the first out of the 9 candidates that we've witnessed him casting his ballot. It took him about 3 minutes, just walking into the polling station, being identified, getting a ballot paper, marking it, and casting the ballot, and he's out. And that is what we expect for the rest of the candidates as well. And we'll be bringing you up to speed with that. Abdi, I just want to allow you a minute to finish up so that you can go to bonus.
Fred, Kenya is one of the most, I think the best country in the world, the most beautiful country in the world, with the best people in the world. We cannot risk what happened in 2007 to come and happen in 2027. It is axiomatic. It's a truism to aver or to opine that William Ruto loves power so much. But we do not want that to happen at the expense of this beautiful, beautiful country called Kenya. Okay. And I said, I have stated severally, and I want to state here today, between the silha of the lack of political goodwill from the presidency to the caribdis of lack of experience by a milli-vanilli of a CS and a PS lies the urgent need for Kenyans to come together, see to it that we have a peaceful, free, fair, credible election in 2027 and stop what this government is doing through goons.
All right.
I rest my case.
And Bwana Sosion, you are an English teacher. Some of the things that Abdi
yes,
told us.
That is why when I used to do script writing, we used to tell playwrights, don't be so bombastic in your script. Let your script be simple, it's clear language that can be communicated. And if I can educate my friend a bit, we don't need to apportion all the blame on the government in terms of violence, but we need to work together to ensure that 2027 election is violent-free. And a number of things from Ol Kalou, if we can be positive about what is happening. Krigla recommended that we should digitalize our election operations very strongly after the post-election of 2007. I think we should credit Kenya and IEBC. The biggest milestone is digitization. And we've seen it. You take very few minutes and you are done. There are no more manual crossing of names, opening pages, looking for a name and checking. It's possible just on a touch of biometrics, you are identified and you cast your vote. And I believe with further digitalization of IEBC electoral processes, and everybody believing in IEBC and supporting that digital infrastructure, we'll get to a time in Kenya where elections for the presidential election will be called by 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. when polling stations are closing, because the electoral infrastructure, the ICT infrastructure will work. That is what happens in other democracies. Why not for Kenya? So I think even as these by-elections are conducted, then we should celebrate some of the milestones of IEBC, particularly this one of ICT infrastructure. Number two, we've known by-elections in Kenya to experience very low voter turnout. But you can see the last by-elections, actually, Fred, if you check, the voter turnout has been significantly high. And that is a responsibility of civic participation by citizens. And we should commend Kenyans for turning up in by-election. And I think we give it to all Kalou people. They've come out in large numbers. That is the best thing that could have happened. They are peaceful, the way we see. They are not violent, and they are casting their votes. So I believe the civic Kenyans exercising their civic responsibility at every opportunity when called upon is a good thing, so that then in future national election, the voter turnout, if we can have of the 28 million or 30 million registered voters, we have 25 million voting in an election, it's a good thing, because we must exercise that civic responsibility. And very lastly, whoever is elected in an election, we respect election outcomes. Okay. We respect election outcomes and we move on. That is democracy, because that is not the end. We'll still come back to another circle, because that person is given leadership via the universal suffrage for a given period of time. And I don't think we need to invite violent minds to operate in 2027.
Okay.
Violence originates from the minds. Yes. And that is why we don't need to preach and propagate, yes. But we need to encourage Kenyans to think in terms of peace in 2027.
And shortly we'll be talking to, thank you, Mwalimu. Shortly we'll be talking to one of the police bosses, Geoffrey Mayak, as a PPO, and about the security situation in all Kalou. But Kevin, before we get to that phone call, you look at the kind of turnout and the peaceful nature of voters in all Kalou, and this is generally the feeling of the Kenyan electorate, that they come out to vote. But eventually some violence, pockets of violence are reported here and there. And you cannot really blame it on the voters, can you? It means there are other forces that perpetrate violence and not necessarily the voters, because they're not even concerned about what the next person will be voting about.
This is extremely impressive, Fred, and is a normal, demeanor of Kenyans when it comes to political processes. Well, not the political processes, because even campaigns and rallies are political, but really the voting process, where you come, look at how peaceful they are, and we are all appreciating the fact that even the organizing of IEBC, where you have your stream, you can see ropes, actually, where, of course, that's how it is done. You now know where you go to, and I'm sure that probably the reporters are not just telling us, but in some cases, they even post the names of the voters by stream on the board, very close to where the entrance is, so that you don't have to waste time in one stream where you already know very well that you are not going to vote there. And even in a much more digitized manner, IEBC, I remember in 2017 and 2022, even made it easier for people to check using their phones. There is a code that you would enter, and then it even shows you the stream where when you walk into the polling station, which stream. And IEBC has also, marked those streams very, very clearly. So that really is a kind of preparedness that we always call upon IEBC to be able to do. And I am praying and hoping that, Fred, the kind of calm, peace, the very soft engagement, even from the UDA candidate, who is saying whoever wins, really, if it is me, well and good. If it is somebody else, maybe DCP or Jubilee or whoever among the other 8 candidates, let it be so. I'm hoping that this kind of narrative is going to yield until after 5, when the polling is closed, the tallying is going on, the counting is happening, and the candidates are being announced. Because that we have seen and observed in the past is normally part of where the chaos begins. And for just 73,000, of course, we are told that this is the total number of registered voters here. We don't expect that the counting and the announcement will go on up to maybe tomorrow, 9 o'clock. It's such a small number. Of course, it's big, but if you look at the infrastructure of IEBC, where all the returning officers are coming together, the poll clerks are submitting their returns, you expect that by close to today, the people of Kalou should already know who their next member of parliament is. And so we are hoping that the kind of environment that has been set up here. Of course, we are talking about the number of involvement of police officers, but we are not seeing them disrupting any process. Maybe they're just standing somewhere observing. I am hoping that ultimately we will not have issues about ballot stuffing. We are being told about unmarked cars hovering around there. Why should your car be unmarked? Sasa ikisha chomwa na watu, who do you blame? Do you blame the insurance? Who really do you blame? Because I think sometimes we also make mistakes that should not. Why do you want to go with an unmarked car to an area where you know already anything can happen? And the MP, one of the MP candidates is saying, last evening my car was touched, etc. Why do you still want to aggravate? And I remember again IEBC saying anybody who is identified to come here with an unmarked car will be arrested and taken to court. We want to see those kind of actions coming up so that clearly, Fred, as we move towards that thing we are calling the high octane political temperatures towards 2027, certain lessons are going to be learned also by candidates. And I still wonder why why it is very difficult for IEBC to just bar certain people from running. Because the constitution, the law has allowed to clear them. So if you are the one clearing them, why can't you disclear them? Yeah, disapprove of them and just bar them from running, especially because if they don't meet certain bare minimums of the electoral code of conduct. That way, we are going to make it very difficult for people who think that you must wield violence and scare people and make it so difficult, and even for the security apparatus, we'll make it so easy for Mheshimiwa Kipchumba Murkomen and Dr. P.S. Raymond Omolo when, the courts also do their work and the institution of IEBC does its work, so that now the CS doesn't have to stand in rallies saying, we know who these goons are, we know. The moment the people who are the basic, stakeholders, the critical institutions do their work, even the ones at the higher level, I'm sure will be able to feel okay that, we have the political support we need. We know what everybody is supposed to. But as I finish on this, Mheshimiwa Sosion mentioned something about ICT. We must push this further, Fred, that Kenyans don't have to queue the way they are queuing like this to be voting. We have to push this to a level where at the comfort of my home, at the comfort of my office, I can be able to vote. If M-Pesa is working and it goes to Wilson Sosion or Abdi Hassan and it is a wrong entry, I can be able to retrieve it back. Why can't we do it?
Thank you so much.
Let's vote for our leaders.
Allow us now to cross over back to Kalou, where the security bosses are currently addressing the media, and let's hear what they have to say. We have Regional Commissioner Central Joshua Kanatha and Geoffrey Mayak, who is a PPO that area.
County Security Committee. Tunashukuru kwa sababu hili exercise ya kupiga kura kwa hii eneo ya Olkarau imeanza asubuhi, na so far tunafurahia kutangazia Wakenya na watu wa eneo hili ya kwamba tunaanza kwa usalama na kwa amani. So hakuna mahali tumesikia kukiwa na shinda. Tuko kila mahali na kazi yetu hasa ni kupeana usalama na kuhakikishia wananchi wa eneo hili ya kwamba usalama wao umehakikishwa na serikali. Tunataka kusema ya kwamba ama ku appeal to the citizens, wale hasa voters wa eneo hili wajitokeze kwa wingi, wakuje wapige kura. Hakuna haja kuwa na uoga ama nini, wakuje wa exercise their democratic right so that by the end of the day ama wakati zoezi likifungwa watakuwa wamejichagulia mjumbe yao. Tunataka kusema kwamba vituo zote zile IEBC wanafanya shughuli zao za kupigisha kura, walituomba pia sisi tukapeana askari. Nafikiria kila kitu iko na askari wawili wa kusimamia kila stream, na so far so good. Mahali wananchi watakuwa na tatizo, tunataka kuomba wa report chochote kile waona akiwafurahisha katika kituo cha polisi kile kiko karibu na wao, ama kwa wale askari wako karibu wale mahali wako. Thank you.
Kuna kisa ambacho mwaniaji mmoja ambaye amepiga kura hapa anasema kilifanyika hapo jana. Pengine uchunguzi ama nini, hatua gani ambazo mnachukua? Anasema kwamba kuna gari liliteketezwa likipeleka agents wake mahali.
Sisi kusema ukweli hakuna report kama vitengo vya usalama tumepokea kuhusiana na kisa kama hicho. Lakini kama litakuwa limeripotiwa katika vituo vyetu vya polisi, tutafanya uchunguzi. Na tunaomba, kwa sababu tunasikia kuna wale hata wanaenda wakiwa hawana number plates kwa magari zao. Kila mtu ajue ni hatia kuendesha gari ambalo halina number plate. Na maafisa wetu wa usalama wakipata gari halina number plate, basi hilo gari litashikwa na kupelekwa station.
Mara nyingi wale wanasiasa ambao huwa wanakuja katika zoezi kama hili kutoka maeneo mengine, siku kama ya leo, ndio huwa wanahusishwa na kusababisha vurugu. Pengine ujumbe wako kwao ni upi? Tunasema asa polling station yaachiwe tu wale maafisa wa IEBC na wale wapiga kura na askari wale wako na kasi pale. Wageni wowote wale wengine wasipatikane katika range ya 400 meters wenyeji. Lakini kama kuna mtu ambaye amekuja kwa nia ya kufuruga uchaguzi, huyo tutapambana naye tu. Tuko hapa kwa sababu ya hiyo tu.
Bwana RC, maybe tuzungumzia kuhusu barabara zile ambazo zinaingia Kalou. Kulikuwa na wale wanahisi kwa pengine barabara zingine zimefungwa. Tueleze tu hiyo usalama ambao mmeweka kwa zile entry points za Kalou constituency. Hakuna barabara tumefunga hata moja. Na ndio hata wewe Bridget nikuuliza, si umefika hapa? Na mimi nimefika hapa kutoka Nyeri. So sijaona roadblock, sijaona barabara imefungwa na mtu, hata checkpoint. Kama kutakuwa na haja, labda tutaangalia, lakini so far hakuna mahali tumefunga barabara.
Na labda tu kuna swali ambalo watu walikuwa wanajiuliza jana kwamba idadi ya polisi pengine ni mingi kupita kiasi huku na huenda ikawatishia wapigaji kura kujitokeza. Je, wasema lipi kuhusu hilo? Sioni kama inaweza kuwa ni tisho, kwa sababu tumepanga askari kulingana na ile idadi askari wameombwa na IEBC. Requirement ya IEBC ndio imetufanya tukajua ni wangapi tutapeana. So na kama ukizunguka hii town ama kwingine, ni mahali gani umesikia askari wamekosi vurugu? Hakuna. So askari ni wa kuhakikisha usalama. Unaona hata wale tuko nao wachache wanatangamana na wananchi. Hawana shinda. So wasiogope, wananchi wasiogope, wajue askari ndio usalama yao.
So we know from Ramogi TV a few minutes ago, the deputy party leader of DStv, Cleophas Malala, claimed that they've seen several unmarked cars by the police officers, and he claimed that this can be a ploy, perhaps to interfere with the election. What's your take on it?
To us, the security agencies, I think from the onset it should be known that, or remembered that anyone who is driving an unmarked car is committing an offense. So we as the police department, there is no one who is driving an unmarked car. If it is the DCI, they have their number plates. It is the police, even my own car, it has got number plates. So I don't know who this other person is who is driving unmarked cars. And those are the people we are saying we are going to deal with them.
Okay, maybe RC, my name is Emmanuel Toh from Citizen TV. How many police officers have been deployed who are in civilian attire, number one? Number two, we know those who are manning police stations and even the tallying center. Where are the rest of the police officers? Because there should be about 700 or so.
I can assure you that we have deployed the required number, not more than the required number. We have an adequate number to deal with any eventuality, but I cannot give you the number. Yes. Okay, in civilian? In civilian.
Have you deployed officers who are in civilian?
Definitely, the DCI officers are here with us. And they normally put on in civilian clothing. So we can't say that we don't have officers in civilian. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Maybe a comment from
vile Bwana RC ameongea, tushaweka officers wa kutosha wa kuangalia doria. Polisi wale wako hapa ni marafiki wa wananchi. Ndio maana unaona ukiangalia kamera zenu ukilenga huku na pale, unaona wananchi wana kutana na polisi wakiwa wanaongea. Tunataka kuhakikishia kwamba usalama huko wa kutosha. Wasiwe na wasiwasi. Ule ajepiga kura, aje apige kura. Kama kuna tatizo lolote, aeleze ofisa wowote wa polisi ambaye ako karibu naye ili aweze kusaidiwa. Otherwise, tangu asubuhi ianze hatujakuwa na tatizo kubwa lolote. Voting inaendelea vizuri na tunashukuru wananchi pia sababu wengi wao baada ya kupiga kura wanaenda nyumbani.
There have been claims of... a title, please, for the record.
Sorry?
Name and title again.
Oh, kwa majina naitwa Geoffrey Mayek. Mimi ni Regional Police Commander wetu wa Central hapa.
The UDA candidate Samuel Mushin has said that they've witnessed some incidents of voter bribery. Has it come to your attention?
Bado hatujapata ripoti yoyote kamili ama hatujakamata mtu yoyote kamili ambaye anahusika na hiyo, lakini wakati tulipata ripoti kama hiyo tukaeleza kitengo cha upelelezi CID waende chini wajaribu kutafuta ni nini imeendelea.
Thank you.
Shukran.
Thank you. Tunashukuru.
Regional police bosses addressing the media there in Kalou and seeking to once again reassure everyone that everything is okay. That was Geoffrey Mayak, the last one to speak. He's a regional police commander, and before him, Regional Commissioner Central Joshua Nkanatha spoke at length, talking even about the number of police deployed and the need to deploy those police officers. They've both denied any reports of voter bribery so far, or even that instance where the UDA candidate Samuel Mushina mentioned that his vehicle had been touched. They say they are yet to receive any such reports. So far so good according to them, and they've sought to reassure the residents of Kalou that all is well and all is expected to end well throughout this day. And yes, I'm still here with my panelists, and I want to give you a final opportunity to comment on what's going on in Kalou before we can release you. Starting with you, Abdinur, you must say that everything so far has been commendable. Even that press address by the police, does it put some of your concerns at rest?
Oh yes, I'm happy how the officers are addressing. In fact, in Canada, the regional commissioner, you are recruited in the same day. He was my colleague in the national administration, and I'm happy for him and Mr. Mayak. But Fred, allow me to say this. Number one, ask Mr. Sosion. He has said that he's urging anybody who wins or who loses today in Kalou's election, in a free and fair election, let him concede and go home. Honorable Sosion, when the joint opposition candidates beat you in August 2027, will your party leader honorably concede and go home? The second issue I wanted to say is, you have spoken about 2007. We have all been dealing with one form of violence today. It's called physical violence, where somebody gets injured or maimed. But there are two other aspects as far as violence is concerned, and which are more dangerous. And in fact, the cause of the physical violence, it's called structural violence. Structural violence is the cause of even these goons today. Because, number one, we have unemployment, we have corruption in this country. If those things are present, which is called structural violence, then physical violence comes into effect. Okay. Therefore, for us to avoid 2007, we must address the issue of structural violence, and there's something also called cultural violence. With all those, I will ask Mr. Sosion to honorably tell us the same way he expects the UDA candidates, the candidates of today, and I'm sure the UDA candidates will be beaten, because I was there for 7 days, Mr. Sosion, for us to not go back to 2007, will your boss give out power honorably in 2027? And please don't tell me he will win. Whether he will win is another. If he wins, in the opposition, we will concede and say, thank you, you have won. Will your boss, when he loses by about 2 million votes, with 32% of the vote in Kenya, when we consolidate our 68% and you lose, will your boss please concede? Although he does not know how to concede, will he concede this for the first time?
Thank you, Bwana Abdinur.
Fred, I invite my brother here, Abdi, who does not understand the politics and of the country and cannot read the mood properly, together with my good friend here, for dinner on 11th of August 2027 to celebrate the victory of President William Ruto in 2027. But we are not talking about the presidential elections. We are here to discuss Kalou. That is a fact. That is a fact for sure. And when we talk of people, when we urge Kenyans to think peace, it is not a simple thing. It's a philosophical statement. We've seen peaceful activities all over the world without violence. We can do everything minus violence. And that violence is formalized in our political minds. If we're able to get out of it and we do democratic, open election programs, then I'm sure we'll be able to have a peaceful country and a prosperous country. And as has been stated by my brother here and emphasized, we want elections that can be called at the end of the day and Kenyans have confidence. The problem is that the trust level and the trust deficit is too huge against the IBC. We should be able to build that trust, and the infrastructure that is already in place is adequate enough to invite us, so that then even in future we can vote from our own homes, in the comfort of our homes, and we trust the results outcome. That is where the democratic world is headed to. Okay. And with respect to the results of Kalou, he cannot change the outcome. I cannot change the outcome. We cannot change it here in the studio. It is a function of voting, and it will be counted. Okay. And so whoever wins, congratulations. And it doesn't matter the political party, whether it's DStv, whether it's UDA, there are 9 candidates. And we don't know what the voters will decide with respect to, they're electing a member of parliament, unfortunately, out of the demise of the Honorable Kiarao. So it is not an exciting experience. We can only wish the people of Kalou well as they vote, let the process remain peaceful until end of the day, so that at the end of the day, they have a member of parliament who will be sworn in next Tuesday. But I invite Abdi for dinner on 11th of August to celebrate the resounding re-election of President William Ruto to finish his term as President of the Republic of Kenya. That is not in dispute. So I'm sure he's informed and educated.
Thank you, William.
I can give him an exam next week on that.
First and foremost is to thank you for this very in-depth engagement based on what we are seeing. And I believe that the media really does a lot of good work to be able to inform. I have friends who are texting me on WhatsApp here and they're asking me, kwani wale upanga fujo kwa rally ni akina nani? You see, it's a good question to ask, because if the citizens are this peaceful in there and they're just there, in fact, I'm really happy that earlier on we began by them saying, hata wale wenye wako na shughuli, those who are busy, allow them to go and vote. Then who are these people who really interfere, you know, with the rallies and want violence, as he's saying it? Can we be able to identify them? Because I still believe that our security infrastructure has the ability to be able to identify them.
Yes.
Other institutions like NCIC even told us that now they have pens like this one of mine, Serenai Kalamui, that have mirrors. They have the ability to record and even, you know, take voices. Can we see institutions like NCIC coming now to even sit in those churches where people are being beaten up to identify these people and support in helping to have a very peaceful, fair, accountable, transparent election towards 2027? I'm happy to see Mheshimiwa Joshua Kanatha. We worked with him in Kiambu in 2022. He was a county commissioner of Kiambu, and congratulations, sir, for your promotion. And that really speaks to the kind of security infrastructure, because if I see him and I imagine the things we did in Kiambu, because remember that Kiambu is among the 16 hotspot counties that were earmarked in 2022 that time, you know. And ultimately it turned out that yes, a lot of work needed to be done, but it remained very peaceful, you know. Then I'm convinced that even on Kalou, up to the point when the voter tallying is going to be done, that peace is going to be sustained. And listening to the responses that he has given, as an outsider, I am pacified that we do not expect deaths because of elections, and I'm hoping that we should not expect any deaths even up to the point of tallying and counting these elections. Finally, I hope IEBC is learning lessons, and especially around the entire electoral process, electoral cycle, in engaging with high-octane areas. There are areas that will not experience this kind of serious, you know, activity because of the homogeneity of candidates, the people, etc. And even, you know, they are calling it zoning, etc. I'm hoping that we are learning proper lessons to be able to safeguard that vote and make it easy for Kenyans when we head towards the 2027 general elections. Peace is what we continue to preach to Naomba Amani, and we are praying that even as the point when the candidate is announced, if you are defeated and it is free, fair, and transparent, accountable, please accept, concede, and work together. I don't know where the handshakes, Fred, went to, where, you know, opponents used to say, you've done well, congratulations, and they shake hands, and you pick up the pieces and you move on. Prepare for the next election, because this is happening only less than 400 days again to the next election. So if you lose today, learn the lessons and prepare yourself for the actual process in 2027 on 10th of August, when the ultimate prize is counted.
Thank you so much for that. And yes, we witnessed probably what many Kenyans did not expect after the kind of campaigns we witnessed in Kalou. Many people would have expected some dramatic discussions and all this, but it's been quite peaceful so far. So allow me to thank you, Kevin Osido, Governance Specialist and Executive Director, County Governance Watch.
Thank you.
Asante sana Mwalimu Wilson Sosion, former member of the National Assembly and also a veteran teacher, an educationist, unionist also. And Abdi Nur Mohammed, Chairman, Inter-Counties Coordinating Committee of the DCP. Asanteni sana for your time at T47 and for spending that extended period, even as we try to dissect what we are seeing in Kalou, and even making comparisons with what we expect to see next year in the general election, given the kind of report that the Kofi Annan Foundation has made about Kenya. This continues as a special coverage of the Kalou by-election. So far, it's been 3 hours, 9 minutes so far of voting. Polling started at exactly 6 with the polling stations opening, all of them at the same time. Voters allowed in so far. None of the voters has complained about any interruption in the voting process, apart from a few delays earlier in the biometric identification of voters, but IBC says they're going to attend to that. We've also received assurances from the police chiefs from that region, Regional Commissioner Nkanatha and the Regional Police Commander as well, Bwana Mayek. They've also reassured us that everything is safe and that the police deployment there is adequate for any incidents or occurrences. And this is a conversation we'll continue with after the break. Advice Mundalo, leadership and communications expert, will be in studio alongside Wanjiko Thega, who's the National Youth Caucus chairperson at the DCP. So do stand by for that. Meanwhile, we leave you with the live pictures of the voting process continuing in Kalou. Good morning. Live pictures continue streaming live on your TV, courtesy of TV47. This is our special coverage of the All Kalou by-elections. Voting started at exactly 6, so it's been 22 minutes, 3 hours 22 minutes of voting, uninterrupted. So far, only some bit of anxiety over some delays in the voting process, probably due to challenges in the biometric voter identification. But that is being handled by the IEBC. Long queues being recorded there as well. Quite a commendable voter turnout by the electorate in All Kalou constituency as they seek to elect their next member of parliament. This is our special coverage of the same. And before the break, we had an update by the regional police commanders there and the regional commissioner in as far as security matters are concerned, and we'll continue beaming these live pictures even as we continue with live discussions here in studio on the same. Allow me to welcome a new panel onto the set. Advice Mundalo is a leadership and communications expert. Karibu sana Advice. It's good to have you in studio.